We on. We live. I don't know what that was about, but in the meantime and in between time, we live. Hit that like button on your way in. Let them know y'all in here with Deuce Sims the Die, a.k.a. Bremen M. You know what I'm saying? We got the Kiwe pop star who be popping up soon. In the meantime, in between time, y'all hit that like button on y'all way in. Share. We got the content. Well, let me give y'all this right now. Y'all should be enthusiastic because when I tell y'all we got the content, y'all should know we got the content. You understand what I'm saying? And when I say Keefe D paperwork, Longtail rat, is Diddy getting charged for Tupac murder? Nasty Burt. We gonna get into all of that. I told y'all to ping up. We got the content. Let's get back into this, man. When them likes up, we'll get to this content, man. Let the people get up in here. Let's go.
I'm a day one from my section. This little body, I'm a hood trophy. Everywhere that I go, niggas know me. Y'all ever they call me Big Home. This cribbing is in me now own. I keep a pole in my wheel. Since a G, I've been banging the bill. You just started banging this year. I got all of my day ones in here. I'm a day one from my section.
So look, man. Keefe D paperwork. The motion to dismiss exposes a long-tail rat. And we gonna talk about it. Salute to everybody on Clubhouse. I'm going to call y'all back. Happy belated birthday to the Henny Sniper. I'm going to call y'all back. Selena is in the building. Salute to you, Queen. Bomani, what's up, baby? Gaga, Unmessy in the booby trap. Show me your boobies in the booby trap. Now, I'm going to let y'all know if y'all don't be on Clubhouse, if y'all go in the booby trap, you know what I'm saying? It's exactly that. So be prepared. You know what I'm saying? And at nighttime, it'll be the best time to slide up in there. The booby trap. You know what I'm saying? Shout out District 13. Shout out to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, Smoked Out TV, the Henny Gang, Dice Media, Tree Tips 2021, the Smokey Show, and every Stand on the Media, man. But let's see what's going on in this chat. Slimeball TV, always just looking. He don't never really say too much. He's just looking. You know what I'm saying? Classic Music, tap that like. Hey, salute. Classic Music, appreciate that. You need to get that Hit Your Bremen on there since you're talking about classic music, because I don't do nothing but classics. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Damu Kiwe Conversation. Please like, share, and stay active in your chucks. That means stay active in that chat. Megan Davis, good evening. How you doing today? Evelyn Holly, hey, beautiful. I see the Henny glasses. I see the active chucks. And I see the diamonds. I guess you might be looking for diamond blue. Noonie Queen, hey, Deuce chat. Salute, salute, salute. This is Slim Gang TV. Let's go. Slim Gang TV, salute. I see you in the chat, man. Salute to you. You need to tap in if you're running the content, because we always got the content, and we love helping other YouTubers build their channels so that they can continue to generate little chump change. You know what I'm saying? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1,000 every month, help with the bills, you know what I'm saying? Or that might just be a trip for a vacation, take the stress off you, break up the monotony of everyday life, you know what I'm saying? Classic Music. Jenny from the block. I see the pity, Jenny. I see the pity on your picture. No Passes podcast. Ooh, you's a hardliner. Said no passes. It's getting hot up in here. Let's take this off, because I'm finna be reading this work too. We is not finna be doing all of that. With all of that on, it's definitely a lot. It's only 36 pages. I ain't got to read it all. Henny is taking care of business. The queen of paperwork is taking care of business. If she's finished, she'll come back in and she'll take over wherever I leave off, right? Slim Gang TV, dude, let's go. Yeah, we definitely gonna go. Shortstop and Field Podcast. He stay. Don't shoot Shortstop and Field Podcast. That's one of my partners. I can't reveal his identity to y'all, but just, if you see him trolling, that's just what he do. Let him troll from the chat. You know what I'm saying? That's my player partner. He ain't no he bullshit though. Miss Tammy, what up? What up? ETE, ETD. That's what we do. Expose the exposers and expose the debriefers. And we definitely exposing the debriefer on this one. And the debriefer in this one is specifically Keefe D. Davis. Wilson Vibes. What up, Deuce? And the ETE fam. Active Chuck. Salute. Damu Kiwe Conversation. Hey, Kenny Kingpin, I'm going to drop this link down here as we going to be talking about some real players, man. I love for you to come chop that up until Henny come. And I don't know what's up with the Kiwe pop star. He said he'll be here. So, you know, he's always fashionably late. Lou from the Lou, salute to the chat. Salute. Lakeisha Green, click that MF like button. That's a fact. Fire. Yael is a day late to his podcast section left. For real classic music, Megan Davis. Hey, and Keisha, she's just shouting out to people in the chat. That's my shit. They love that song. Told Yael we need to drop that video next week. The video's already done. Hell's Kitchen in the building. Salute to Hell's Kitchen in the Discord. If you don't know about Hell's Kitchen, that's your bad. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Scandalous Los Angeles TV. That's a good brother right there. We sent him to SA. That's called Stripper Anonymous. We making sure that he doesn't have to, he can help overcome his addiction to strip clubs in the morning, though. That's kind of like a perverse, out of the ordinary addiction, you know? To be going to strip clubs early every morning. Like, you need it early in the morning. That's just your fix, right? But salute to the brother, man. I got a lot of love for that brother, man. That's my partner in crime. We be on that slave plantation, whipping up the content every day. And he stay on point. But Monty, what's up, baby? He stay on point so he can record, because I don't know how. And I get calls all day, all throughout the day, and don't know. Big Gov, what up with it? Shout out to the D, nigga. You already know what it is. The D gonna get that money. Talk about some real players. So look, we got enough people in the chat. That's right. Don't put me on timeout, moderators. I'm here to do what I do. Monique Hill, what up? Senior janitor SR Jen Trav, Damu Kiwe Conversations, salute kings and queens. Deuce, let them know about the different Robs. Oh, yeah, you're right, Slim Gang TV. So, in the past content, I'm glad that you reminded me. In the past content, we was talking about Cuban Rob from Pacoima Paru Bloods, one of CS2 back Du Boys, and we weren't talking about Mexican Rob for Fruittown Paru. So I hope that y'all didn't get those two twisted. Salute to Mexican Rob. I hope that nobody called bothering you, acting as if you was under duress like that, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like you been summoned to the set like that, brother. You know what I'm saying? But look, we finna get into this content. It's a lot of it, so we gonna get into it right now because this is some nasty work. I'm really arguing that Keefe D is the biggest rat in Los Angeles history. And that's a lot to it takes a lot for me to even come to such a conclusion, man. It's nasty work. Hold on, where is the work? I don't see the work. Hold on. Oh yeah, there it go right there. So I see where it's at. Boom, here we go. All right. So just for validation, I got sent this by somebody that I don't really trust. So I had to make sure I got validation on Yael.
Damu Kiwe Conversations.
Hold on. You know, you always fashionably late. The Keyway pop stars in the building, the crimping Chris Brown. So let's give him his, his interest music. He's like a wrestler, WWE at this point, you know what I'm saying? When he come out of our box, he needs his own theme music. The Keyway pop star. Yael. Here you go, Yael. Glad you're back with us.
Damu Kiwe Conversations. You know how I go, man. You know, I was a little late working and everything like that, but Deuce Sims, Brim and them is always holding it down till I come around, brother. Appreciate you. And appreciate everybody that's in the live and on the chat. In the chat, you already know that's where it's at. Everybody on Clubhouse, salute. And the go to you too, man. Man, I see the topic, Deuce. Keefe D again.
Paperwork, the Longtail rat. Also, there's a lot of questions. Is Diddy about to be getting charged for the Tupac murder? It's a lot in this paperwork, and there's different dates on this paperwork. So let me get to it. I'm going to blow it up. I had to make sure I verified the authenticity. If y'all see that number right there, Carl E.G. Arnold, Esquire, Nevada, I called that number today, and the lawyer said that really is him, and that he submitted 4 exhibits as evidence in his motion to dismiss the charges against Keefe D. Davis in the Unalive and the Tupac Shakur. If you see these, you can see the authenticity. Appears authentic to me. Like I say, I didn't really trust the dude. But when I called and talked to the lawyer and he cursed me out because it was Sunday morning and I'm working, and it's early Sunday morning, and I'm working and trying to verify that, he wasn't necessarily too pleased about that, which seems authentic to me. So here goes the work. The state of Nevada plaintiff versus Dwayne Keefe Davis, defendants. Him being such a rat, I'm just thinking about it. Maybe that's why he tried to bail out CS2 back. But anyway, CS2 back tried to bail him out. Defendant Dwayne Keefe Davis hereby files his motion to dismiss on the basis that the state of Nevada has failed to timely pursue these charges against Mr. Davis, failed to provide corroborating evidence supporting Mr. Davis' coerced confession, and failed to honor the federal proffer agreement between Mr. Davis and the United States government, thus substantially impairing Mr. Davis' constitutional rights. This motion to dismiss is based upon the memorandum of points of authorities herein. Notice of hearing. Please take notice that the undersigned will bring the above and foregoing motion to dismiss for Dwayne Keefe Davis for hearing before the court at the courtroom of the above entitled court on the day of January 6. So, statement of facts. On September 6, 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot several times in Las Vegas, Nevada. On September 13, 1996, Mr. Shakur allegedly died as a result of the multiple gunshot wounds. No one was ever arrested for the alleged murder of Mr. Shakur until Mr. Dwayne Davis' arrest on September 29, 2023, over 27 years after the date of the shooting of Mr. Shakur. On July 16, 1998, Mr. Davis was interviewed by Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Terrell. Mr. Davis' attorney, Mr. Edie Fayel, was present. The interview was considered a proffer agreement between the United States government and Mr. Davis, under which any information provided by Mr. Davis would not be prosecuted related to that information. Mr. Davis was repeatedly questioned about the alleged murder of Tupac Shakur. Mr. Davis denied knowing who shot Mr. Shakur. Mr. Davis was asked to speculate as to who shot Mr. Shakur. Mr. Davis stated it was the Compton Police Department under the direction of Mr. Suge Knight, owner of Death Row Records. Mr. Davis was asked what would be Mr. Knight's motive, and Mr. Davis responded Mr. Shakur was getting ready to leave working with Death Row Records. At no time during this interview, less than 2 years after Mr. Shakur's shooting, did Mr. Davis state that he or members of the Southside Crips were involved in any manner with the shooting of Mr. Shakur. See Exhibit 1. On April 20th, 1999, Mr. Davis was again interviewed by federal agents after Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell obtained permission from his attorney Edai Fayal. The interview was conducted shortly after the shooting death of Orlando Anderson, the nephew of Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis identified the individual that had killed Mr. Anderson. Mr. Davis also stated Mr. Anderson's death had nothing to do with Death Row Records. Mr. Davis stated that Mr. Anderson was not involved in the shooting of Mr. Shakur. Mr. Davis did discuss that Mr. Anderson was attacked by Mr. Shakur in Las Vegas the night of Mr. Shakur's shooting. Nevertheless, the decision was made to retaliate in Compton since there were so many police around in Vegas during the Mike Tyson fight that night. Mr. Davis described how Mr. Anderson testified at Mr. Knight's probation violation hearing since there was no extended disagreement between the Southside Crips and Death Row Records, and Mr. Knight had provided Mr. Anderson money to testify on his behalf. Lastly, Mr. Davis stated the Compton Police Department, Reggie Wright Jr., was responsible for spreading the rumor that Mr. Anderson had shot Mr. Shakur simply because of the altercation between the two men after the Mike Tyson fight. See Exhibit 2. On December 18, 2008, Mr. Davis was interviewed again regarding the Tupac Shakur shooting. Present at the interview were Greg Kading, what a Kawinky D, William Holcomb, Darren Dupree, you got the handler of CS2 back himself, Darren Dupree, all with the LA Police Department, and FBI Special Agent Jeff Bennett. The three LAPD and FBI agents were part of a task force to solve the shooting of rapper Notorious Big, also known as Biggie Smalls, legal name Christopher Wallace. The task force, through a sophisticated criminal investigation, obtained sufficient evidence that would prove Mr. Davis was the leader of the Southside Crips and his gang was responsible for distribution of over 360 kilos of cocaine and PCP. Mr. Davis provided 3 interviews to obtain immunity from prosecution. The final interview were solely questions regarding the Tupac Shakur shooting, which Mr. Davis was also provided immunity from prosecution. See Exhibit 3. Mr. Davis stated the following at the December 2008 interview. 1. Sean Puffy Combs solicited Mr. Davis to kill Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur for $1 million. We're going to stop right there because that's a lot to swallow already. Yael, did you hear that, bro?
Bro, I heard the whole everything. This is very, very, very interesting, Deuce. The fact that there's more paperwork coming out on the Keefe D situation now, it's like alleged that the diddler is man, bro. Whoo, this is some nasty work, brother. Just off the descriptions of this.
Diddler seemed like he was kind of scared, but we'll get to that. But I'm just saying, Keefe D had 3 proffer sessions that we know about.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you talk to the people too many times.
I thought you weren't even supposed to talk to him once.
I thought you wasn't supposed to talk to him at all.
Right.
He talked to him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not even once. You ain't supposed to talk to him at all. But if you notice also the structure of how they run their proffer sessions, you had LAPD officers that were working from the robbery homicide division and on a joint task force, right? but they made sure that they had an FBI agent sitting in with them on this proffer agreement. So when you hear CS2 back talking about, I talked to Greg Kading, well, Greg Kading has a partner who is on here, that's Darren Dupree, right? Wax handler. And so Greg Kading was there, Darren Dupree was there, and that an FBI agent and representative, or it don't have to be FBI, it could have been DEA, or it could have been ATF, or one of the other federal agencies that investigate that specific type of crime. But yeah, my nigga, it's some nasty work. Mika, we see you in the goo. We see
Mika.
With them lips. I need some more of them pictures, Mika. You already know what's going on a late night. You know what I'm saying? But now let me stop trolling Mika. She knows.
Hey, you keep messing with my girl, I'll be in Wisconsin.
Hey, listen, but I'm really gonna keep messing with her now. I hope you come pull up. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Lamonte, stay away from that. I need 3 fingers.
That ain't
later.
got nothing to do with you. Stop stalking that woman. You already called CPS on her. You already called her job snitching on her. Tell him she a gang member. She don't want you no more. And she's disgusted that you made her stick those 3 fingers you know where. So
it felt good. She was digging for nuggets, digging for gold down in my hole. Paru.
Hey, that is crazy. But look, back to the work, right? So Sean Puffy Combs solicited Mr. Davis to kill Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur for $1 million. Mr. Davis went to the Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas on September 6, 1996. Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, and DeAndre Smith also came to Las Vegas in a rented white Cadillac to see the Mike Tyson fight. Orlando Anderson was assaulted by Tupac Shakur and other members of Shakur's entourage after the Tyson fight. 5. Eric Zip Martin, an associate of Puffy Combs, provided Mr. Davis with a gun to exact revenge on Tupac Shakur for the beating Mr. Anderson received. 6. Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Mr. Davis all got in the white Cadillac and searched for Tupac Shakur. When the group found Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, Mr. Davis passed the gun to the back seat to DeAndre Smith, who was reluctant to shoot. Orlando Anderson grabbed the gun and shot at the vehicle that Tupac Shakur was in. 8. Mr. Davis never received the money from Zip Martin or Sean Combs that was promised. So, nigga got bamboozled after they put down the hit. On September 9, 2009, Mr. Davis was interviewed once again by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department regarding the Tupac shooting. Present at the interview was Detective D. Long, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and Detective Darren Dupree. Hey, Darren Dupree got his hands all over this thing, right? No Diddy. Mr. Davis was represented by his attorney, Wayne Higgins. Detective Long repeatedly told Mr. Davis that he would not be arrested for his involvement with the Tupac shooting. Specifically, Detective Long just wanted for his investigation the same information that was given to Detective Dupree in the task force interview on December 18, 2008. Detective Long stated that he just wanted to close the Tupac case and Mr. Davis was free to leave and would not be arrested. See Exhibit 4. In this statement by Mr. Davis, he basically repeated what he told the task force. 1. Sean Combs wanted both Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight killed and that Mr. Combs was willing to pay for it. 2. Mr. Davis was in Las Vegas for the Mike Tyson fight. 3. Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, and DeAndre Smith also came to Las Vegas in a rented white Cadillac to see the Mike Tyson fight. 4. Eric Zip Martin provided the gun that was used to shoot Tupac Shakur. 5. Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Mr. Davis were all in the white Cadillac. 6. When the group found Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, Mr. Davis passed the gun to the back seat to DeAndre Smith, who was reluctant to shoot. Orlando Anderson grabbed the gun and shot at the vehicle that Tupac Shakur was in. 8. Mr. Davis never received the money from Zip Martin or Sean Combs that was promised. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, as far back as 2009, was in possession of the same set of facts that the Clark County District Attorney is now alleging makes Mr. Davis responsible for the murder of Tupac Shakur. The Clark County District Attorney Office has offered no reason as to why it waited another 14 years to prosecute a case against Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis has been irreversibly prejudiced by this unnecessary delay in prosecution of this case, and Mr. Davis' constitutional rights have been violated in an extraordinary manner never before witnessed in the annals of the American criminal justice system, right? I think that this lawyer definitely has an argument from that standpoint. So much time has passed. So many witnesses no longer alive. Not to mention the way that this case had already been smeared in public opinion. So many different conspiracy theories, leakings of evidence from Greg Kading and his documentary and movie, and the task force and their interviews with Vlad. They've already prejudiced the jury pool. But anyway, legal argument. The state has no corroborating evidence to prove Mr. Davis's statements. It has long been established that the corpus delicti, corpus delicti is Latin for the body of the crime, must be demonstrated by evidence independent of the confessions or admissions of the defendant. Sheriff versus Dada, 115, Nevada 175, 1999 case. Confessions and admissions of the defendant may not be used to establish corpus delicti absent sufficient independent evidence. So it has to be some kind of enough of independent evidence to corroborate the facts of the case. I don't think that's a good argument for him. But once the state presents independent evidence that the offense has been committed, admissions and confessions may then be used to corroborate the independent proof. However, all other relevant evidence may be considered. The corpus delicti may be established by purely direct evidence, partly direct and partly circumstantial evidence, or entirely circumstantial evidence. In the present matter, the state has no independent evidence that Orlando Anderson or any member of the Southside Crips shot Tupac Shakur. This evidence comes solely from Mr. Davis's statement. The state has no evidence that a gun from Zip Martin was given to Mr. Davis and used in the shooting. The state has no evidence that the driver and passengers in the white Cadillac were members of the Southside Crips. All of these are necessary to establish the corpus delicti of the state's indictment that Mr. Davis orchestrated the shooting of Tupac Shakur. Without independent evidence corroborating Mr. Davis's statement, the indictment must be dismissed, right? Hold on. My boy Lou just came in. Lou, salute.
What's up?
What's up? Oh, this is some nasty work. We finna get into it. So, the state's delay in prosecution irreversibly prejudiced Mr. Davis's rights to a fair trial and due process. The right of due process protects a criminal defendant's interest in fair adjudication by preventing unjustified delays that weaken the defense through the dimming of memories, the death or disappearance of witnesses, and the loss or destruction of material physical evidence. People versus Nelson, California, 2008. Accordingly, delay in prosecution that occurs before the accused is arrested or the complaint is filed may constitute a denial of the right to a fair trial and to due process of law under the state and federal constitutions. A defendant seeking to dismiss a charge on this ground must demonstrate prejudice arising from the delay. The prosecution may offer justification for the delay, and the court, considering a motion to dismiss, must balance the harm to the defendant against the justification for the delay. Whether the delay was negligent or purposeful is relevant to the balancing process. ID at 58. Purposeful delay to gain an advantage is totally unjustified, and a relatively weak showing of prejudice would suffice to tip the scales towards finding a due process violation. If the delay was merely negligent, a greater showing of prejudice would be required to establish a due process violation. The showing of Mr. Davis' prejudice by the state's delay in this matter is overwhelming. Too many witnesses have died, and the unavailability of evidence has occurred during the prosecution's delay of this matter. Specifically, the state of Nevada was in possession of the evidence that they are now attempting to convict Mr. Davis upon as of 2009. Notwithstanding, no evidence was obtained immediately after the death of Tupac Shakur in 1996 by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. The following is a list of prejudices experienced by Mr. Davis to date. The death and unavailability of Orlando Anderson. The death and unavailability of Terrence Brown. The death and unavailability of DeAndre Smith. The incarceration and unavailability of Suge Knight. The incarceration and unavailability of Sean Puffy Combs. The death and unavailability of Frank Alexander. Now, Frank Alexander, he got a hell of an argument on that and what Frank Alexander brought to the table. 7, the death and unavailability of Eric Zip Martin. 8, the death and unavailability of Henry Lee Smith, member of car entourage on the night of the shooting. 9, the inability to locate any witnesses that may identify who was in the white Cadillac on the night of the shooting. 10, the death and unavailability of Los Angeles Police Department Detective Russell Poole. Now, though I think out of that, 6 and 10 is his strongest arguments. Russell Poole was arguing that the LAPD had a hand in and participated in both of these homicides, the death of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls. That's nasty work. So the original detective investigating both of these murders had a theory based upon the evidence that he came across. I think in a trial, that's already enough to at least get a hung jury, a reason within a shadow of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? And then when I say Frank Alexander said he did testify after he was subpoenaed, but he said that he feared for his life. He feared retaliation from the Bloods, from the LAPD, and others, which indicates that he felt that LAPD had an interest in bringing him harm for the testimony that he would have been providing. No matter what the state's justification, the 27-year delay by failure to properly investigate the shooting of Tupac Shakur and the failure to prosecute Mr. Davis after his 2009 statements has unfairly and irreparably harmed Mr. Davis from having a fair trial and from his constitutional due process rights. C, Mr. Davis was provided immunity from all prosecution relating to the death of Tupac Shakur. I think this is the one that Mike could really get his case thrown out of court. As the courts argued, as his lawyers argued, as discussed above, Mr. Davis gave a statement in 2008 regarding his involvement in the Tupac Shakur shooting. He signed a proffer agreement which provided immunity for the information he furnished. A short time after this statement in 2009, Mr. Davis also gave a statement regarding his involvement in the Tupac Shakur shooting. During this statement, the investigator officer of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department again promised Mr. Davis that he would not be arrested for his involvement in this matter. Also present was Detective Dupree from the Los Angeles Police Department, who also was present at the initial 2008 interview. Detective Dupree orchestrated this follow-up statement with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department so they could close the case. The state of Nevada was in possession in 2009 of the facts that led to his arrest in 2023. Specifically, his alleged statement that he was in a white Cadillac and handed the gun to the backseat passengers, which was utilized to shoot Tupac Shakur. The state of Nevada must now honor the initial proffer agreement of 2008 and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's promise not to prosecute Mr. Davis. The state of Nevada recognizes cooperation agreements, see NRS 178.5715. Additionally, the state of Nevada also recognizes that transactional immunity provides for immunity towards any involvement the informant has with the commission of the crime, which he provides information. Nevertheless, the state of Nevada is refusing to honor the agreements provided to Mr. Davis by the federal government and by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. The Nevada Supreme Court in Tricious dismissed the case against the defendant, who was granted immunity for prosecution, and this court should also dismiss the case against Mr. Davis. Conclusion: based upon the foregoing reasons, Mr. Davis respectfully requests that this case be dismissed. The state of Nevada has violated Mr. Davis's constitutional rights, failed to follow the law in charge of Mr. Davis, and has failed to honor previous agreements of immunity. That was dated January 6, 2025. Carl E.G. Arnold, Esquire, Nevada bar number. So that pretty much checks out. Y'all could go up on the state bar and pull that number and see if all of that checks out. And now here are the exhibits. We gonna get into that. Hey,
Yeah, dudes.
let me get in this chat. Hey, y'all hit that like button, share, comment. Let's see what they talking about in the chat. And
Damu Kiwe Conversations.
I gotta run and go get me another bottle of water and do this before we get into these 4 exhibits. These 4 exhibits are explosive. Hit that like button, share, tell a friend. We got content.
We got Do Sims the Don, and yours truly, the Kiwe pop star. Man, listen, if y'all feeling this content, which I know you are because you're still here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share. Tell a friend to tap on in. Y'all in here with some real dudes, the voice of the West Coast, the voice of the culture. And we ain't vultures. Hey, listen, this is Damu Kiwe Conversations. On everybody on Clubhouse, salute to you guys. Salute to the moms that's on their job. Salute to the goo, to you too, the chat. You already know that's where it's at. Listen, Keefe D's paperwork. Oh, man. He didn't talk to those people 3 times. So you already know what it is. You already know where we're going with it, man. Listen, we got our loyal supporters in the chat. Selena, I'm going to call you back. Uniquely yours. SRG TV. Megan Davis. Monique Hill. Always positive. Who else we got, man? We got T-Man. We got Kimbo Greedy. Man, we got a plethora of individuals, man. If I ever saluted you, Papa 30, man, what's up? Hey, man, salute to everybody in the chat. Y'all already know that's where it's at. Sad part about it is, man, this dude Keefe D, man. I guess people are still cool with him, even with hearing these allegations, and they didn't do their due diligence to really get down to the meat of the bone, knowing that they got a dude around him and they're not knowing who's around him. And I can understand some dudes not knowing who they're around because that happened to me. I was around a few snitches for years and didn't know who they really was. I had to do my own investigation. And that's the problem with these dudes. They don't want to investigate who they're around. Not to say police work, but just know who you around and who you got in your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get back to this content. We gotta do Sims back with the bottle of thirst quenching water from reading all this work that we got, man, from these so-called model individuals that dudes is, you know, claiming to be real street dudes. And I seen Exhibit 1, so this is the one of many, man. Let's get to this content, man. Damu Kiwe Conversations.
So this Exhibit 1 is dated July 16th, 1998. Dwayne Keefe Davis, protect the identity. That this is their note, right? There's a reason they want to protect his identity because of what he is speaking about in here, right? Date of birth, June 14th, 1963. Was interviewed by agents at the United States Attorney's Office, Los Angeles, California. Also present at the interview was Davis's attorney, Rder Fayyad. Sound like an Iranian or Persian, right? And Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Terrell. Pursuant to an understanding between Davis and the government, the interview was to be treated as a proffer session. Also, it was understood that the information provided by Davis during the interview would not be used by the FBI in a way which would disclose to individuals outside the FBI that the information came from Davis. Accordingly, this FD-302 document should not be disseminated outside the FBI. I'm going to stop right there just for people to take note. I remember that the Choke No Joke, the FBI agent on Choke No Joke was talking about how the FBI, how Reggie Wright had it wrong by saying that, of course, Greg Kading would know who the FBI informants were because basically he believed that all FBI agents would have access to any cases on any different confidential informants or sources. And that
right.
he told me that that's just not the case, right? And
right.
And each one is has responsibility for certain files, certain sources on a need-to-know basis, and that's within the FBI and how they do their business. So what they were saying was the last thing they would do would be share it to somebody outside their organization and disseminate it outside of the FBI to an officer like Detective Greg Kading, who worked for the LAPD. That note right there is exactly, it kind of corroborates what that FBI agent was arguing. You know what I'm saying? It definitely does that, saying that this document should not be disseminated outside of the FBI. So LAPD, any other organization, ATF, none of them should have been able to have access to this unless they had prior approval. You know what I'm saying? And clearance. So during the interview, Davis provided the following information. Davis knows an individual called Zip. He does not know his first or last name. Zip, who is from New York, is a pimp who controls approximately 40 girls. Zip also sells marijuana. Davis has no knowledge of Zip selling cocaine. Davis did once discuss a transaction with Zip involving PCP. Sherm stick, we gonna smoke a dip, all of it. Oh, we did just interview J.O. Felony. Davis then arranged for Patrick Bernard to give Zip the PCP. Zip came to Los Angeles with other persons from New York on that and other occasions, but Davis does not know these individuals' names. Davis met Zip in 1993 or 1994 at a baseball game. An individual called Fats was also at the game and introduced Davis to Zip. Fats, who is also called Flint. Now, this is some nasty work because we got people in the Damu Kiwe conversation who were related to Flint, who had real close ties with Flint. Hustlers. Flint is known as a big cocaine supplier who operates in the west side of Los Angeles. Davis associated with Fats prior to 1994. In 1994, Fats was arrested and went into federal custody. Davis has not associated with Fats much since he was released from federal custody earlier this year. Davis has heard that Fats has little money now and does not believe he is currently a major drug supplier. Fats, cocaine supplier prior to going to federal prison, was his uncle, who is called TR. Davis has heard that Fats is currently trying to get involved with Aftermath Records. Davis knows of no gang affiliation by Fats, although Fats wants to be considered a member of the Santana Block Street Gang. So we're going to go into page 2 of Exhibit 1, but if you pay attention, he mentioned a legend, a real hustler out of Los Angeles named Tootie Reese, TR. Let me get into a short documentary so y'all can start putting faces to these real life people that have real life consequences that Keefe D has just implicated into crimes.
Real quick, Deuce, we got a super chat, man. We got a super chat from Coolest Dude with the 1999 super chat. Good job, guys. Salute and 100, man. Guess what? Salute to you. Always positive for the super chat, man. The 1999 super chat, man. Blessings to you, your family, and your tribe, man. Deuce Sims is always bringing out the receipts, making sure it's facts before we even bring it to the internet to give it to the people, man. So we appreciate that, and thank you for supporting us.
All right, give me and I'll be right with y'all with this. This is gonna be a short intermission and allow me to rehydrate. And get y'all this content here.
Damu Kiwe Conversations. Man, let's get in this chat, man. Dude's taking a quick intermission. We got Spanish Mommy in the chat. Happy birthday to you. Jenny from the block. Appreciate you coming through, man. Coolest dude again. Salute to you, brother. Man, we got Lou from the Lou in here too, man. Listen, we got Mr. P. White, UK, the General. Salute, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. You already know this is where it's at. The chat goes up and is live with you guys, man. We appreciate that, man. Make sure the Blue Wrench Mob is always on their job, man, doing their thing. One of the dopest lives on YouTube right now. One of the hottest rooms on Clubhouse, man. This is Damu Kiwe Conversations. You got Deuce Sims, man, hydrating.
I'm ready. Let's go. So the rise and fall of the Los Angeles Black Mafia. Tootie Reese and Michael Jordan. Salute to Michael Jordan. That's a Van Ness gangster brim right there, man. You know what I'm saying? Van Ness boy. But and Tootie Reese, y'all finna learn a little bit about him. This is the guy that one of the guys that Keefe D has gave up on the first part, Exhibit 1. It don't stop there. But let me introduce you to him. Let's go.
We stayed under surveillance. Tootie stayed under all that was going on. I mean, 63rd and Crenshaw, they stayed right across the street and they would be, filming all the time. I had a friend that lived, he didn't live, but he had a business over there. And he would say, Mike, man, they over there filming y'all, So things was happening right underneath their eyes. And
so this is the story of Michael Jordan. He, as a kid, his mother moved him over, the family over to the Lemert Crenshaw district, west side of Los Angeles. You guys may be familiar with it if you're not from LA, as the general area where a lot of the gang movies and Nipsey Hussle stuff that you may see in the pop culture is at. It's actually now the largest remaining concentration of black population in the entire state of California. There's really no other big black population concentrations in South Central other than like the public housing there in Watts. But anyways, Michael Jordan ended up being the son-in-law of one of the less talked about but very important black godfathers of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, definitely 1970s, Thomas Tootie Reese.
I was on the port of LA. I was overseeing shipment coming through.
Damu Kiwe.
was there to make sure that 4 cars, 500 pounds apiece of cocaine was being delivered to the right places.
What kind of cars were they?
They were the police cars.
So there was a big scandal. I know I saw a little bit of it in the paper, definitely involving drugs and some police and Tootie Reese. So that's not if for anyone that thinks we making up stories.
No, that's some real things. They, you know, and they also busted some FBI agents doing the same thing. You know, got tied up with a few people.
At this point, were you married to his daughter?
Excuse me. Yes, I was married to his daughter.
Take us through that. So it's interesting. You grew up. Tell us about you grew up next to Tootie Reese and how you met his daughter.
Okay, I was in not junior high school. I was in high school, Crenshaw High School. So
Crenshaw Slauson area.
No, Crenshaw is Leimert Park. Okay. So I grew up on House Avenue and 59th, then 6th Avenue and 60th. I grew up right there in the 60 hood. Then my mother called herself moving in a better place. We moved in Leimert Park. When we moved to Leimert Park, Tootie Reese owned the building. And I would see him come in, you know, from time to time. And I talk about it in my book, how we actually met. But this is how we met. My sister would go next door, and there was a bunch of beautiful women next door. And also his daughter was there. So my sister became friends with her. And then so she came over to the house one day with her friend. So my sister was like, Michael, which one you like? I'm like, which one you think I like? I said, I like the girl with that double R on her, around her neck, full of diamonds. I said, that's who I like. She's like, I know you was gonna say that, boy. So I'm like, that's right. Who is that? That's Tootie Reese's daughter. You know Tootie Reese? I'm like, nah, I don't know Tootie Reese, but I was just telling her that. But I had heard about him. I didn't know him personally, but I had heard his name because anybody that was growing up in Los Angeles, you knew Tootie Reese. I mean, you saw the Rolls Royces and the fabulous cars and boats being pulled by other cars. And
the media like, oh, this is the face of crime in LA,
yeah, they was really on him. You know, he had got arrested on tax evasion. And this is something that Al Capone didn't do. He beat the feds on that. You know, they said he made $90 million in 3 years. You know, and we talking about in the 70s. So you could imagine what kind of money that was.
Right, or 80?
Well, that was, he was driving around in a car. He had left.
Switching.
The apartments on Crenshaw. And they said that he was in another car. He was like a Kia cocaine or something in the back, and they stopped him. But it was illegal search and seizure, so he ended up beating that.
Like Fluky Stokes and Nicky Barnes and people like I've done documentaries about from Detroit, Motown Mafia guys, Courtney Brown, Eddie Jackson. And I
met Tootie when I was about 17 years old.
So how fast did you and his daughter become, friendly or girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever?
Well, it happened pretty fast because, when she came over to the house, she was looking at me like I was looking at her. So, we hooked up pretty fast,
And when she introduced you to her father, what was that like?
Well, when she introduced me to her father, I was over at her mother's house on 100 and something, stayed in the hundreds. And I was over there visiting Rder, and Tootie knocked on the door. He came in and he was like, "What you doing over here, Mike?" Because he knew I stayed next door. And then Rhonda's mother said, "That's Michael." He said, "I know who that is. That's Sheila's brother." So from there, he asked her, he said, "You really like Mike?" Right? Yeah. She's like, "Yeah." At the time, I was like, "Check this out." I asked him for a job, and he's like, "A job? What are you talking about, a job? What do you know about a job?" He said, "I can't introduce nobody to this game that's not involved already." So I said, I'm already involved. I'm doing my thing.
Oh, what were you doing?
I was doing little shit. I was doing weed. And at the time, they had some stuff called angel dust on mint leaves and stuff like that. So I was doing that kind of stuff. So he laughed it off. And then he asked the daughter, "What do you think?" She said, "Yeah."
So his daughter was kind of knowledgeable enough of the gangster ways that he would ask her, like, were you okay to?
Yeah, it was kind of hard for her not to know. I mean, you know, he was flamboyant.
Yeah. So after researching, as I was editing this, I asked Michael Jordan about some things, and when Tootie Reese was caught up, if you read the newspaper articles, when he was finally sent to prison in '84, it was weird. It was like he knew the people were federal agents, and yet he sold to them anyways. And Jordan told me that he, in fact, did know they were agents, but they had made the initial, they'd gotten the initial drugs from, seems like his daughter, who I think had been Michael Jordan's wife, our Rhonda Reese, or one of Reese's other kids, and his young 13-year-old son, I think, handed over some ounces of cocaine. So Mr. Jordan told me that Reese knowingly made the sales so that it just wouldn't be his kids who took the fall.
So the feds, but they watched every day though. We stayed under surveillance. Tootie stayed under all that was going on. I mean, 63rd and Crenshaw, they stayed right across the street, and they would be, you know, filming all the time. I had a friend that he didn't live, but he had a business over there, and he would say, Mike, man, they over there filming y'all, you know. So things was happening right underneath their eyes. And yeah, way out Keno. Yeah, I used to go see Keno and bring him bags of money when he was running short. Him and Tootie was real good friends, and I would go over there and bring him a bag of money, $200,000-300,000. They couldn't break him. He was like Las Vegas. Tootie would make sure he had the money. It was real cool. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is this. By me being so young, Tootie was running around doing everything he wanted to do. But when I was being introduced, I was just his son-in-law. Even when the time I wasn't his son-in-law, he said, that's my son-in-law. And everybody would look at me like, oh, he's a kid. But all the time, this kid was handling things. When Tootie was doing his thing, I was doing my thing.
Oh, so what, like dropping off, picking up money?
I was doing it all. I was handling it. And a lot of people didn't know that. But the ones that was involved, they knew. But people in the streets, they just saw me flashy, you know, jewelry and cars and driving Tootie's Rolls Royces and stuff like that. So they just looked at me as his daughter's boyfriend. You know, my father, Rene, was from New Orleans, but he was part of the French Connection. He was French.
Oh, so you're from a crime family.
Yeah. So therefore, you know, we never was like starving. That's for sure.
Oh, what now? As you're in your early 20s and you're doing stuff with Tootie and you're driving, that didn't. Even at that point, LA, a young black male with expensive cars and jewelry, 1975, didn't attract attention, or there was enough celebrities and regular money you could find in?
Exactly. So a lot of times I would be in Beverly Hills all the time shopping at Neiman Marcus, Gucci's, or whatever, and people thought I was an entertainer. You know, I had a big natural, and I kind of looked like one of the Silvers in a singing group, or one of the Jacksons. So I just like blended in. And then, like I said, a lot of people just thought, you know, okay, well, this young guy, you know, he's with Tootie's daughter. So he's driving a Rolls Royce. He's driving a Mercedes Benz. He's driving a Seville Cadillac. But those are the cars I bought. You know, I bought the brand new Mercedes Benz and the brand new Cadillac from Rder.
So y'all learned a little bit about Tootie Reese. $90 million money laundering case by the feds, and he beat him. A South Central Los Angeles legend. And this is who Keefe D was telling her. I don't know where y'all went. We finna get back to exhibit one and the Keefe D, the proffer of Keefe D. You know what I'm saying? Nasty work, man. Let's go. When Davis was asked if he had heard of Fats being involved in any murders since he was released from federal custody, he responded that when Fats was in the halfway house, an individual named Lamar was killed near Fats's house. Fats and Wayne Day did not get along. Fats once sent Day black roses. Davis is related to Wayne Day. Davis's uncle, Will Floyd, is also the uncle of Wayne Day. Concerning the prior drug organization of Wayne Day, Davis was told that agents had heard that people say that Day had Compton sewn up, meaning that he had controlled cocaine trafficking in Compton. Davis responded that Day had part of Compton sewn up, but had not had Davis' side sewn up. Prior to his arrest by FBI, Davis controlled the drug business in the south side of Compton, described more specifically as that part of Compton where the street names have South in front of them. Reggie Wright Jr., a former Compton Police Department officer, controls the drug trade in the north side of Compton. Reggie Wright Jr., bomb first, Reggie Wright Jr., Compton Police Department, head of security for Death Row, controlled the dope trade on the north side of Compton. Welcome to Los Angeles. To all of you people sitting on your couch and watching your telephone on YouTube or watching your TV, this is a door into the life of Los Angeles through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Pay attention. In approximately 1983 and 1984, Davis sold cocaine, which he bought from Patrick Johnson. Nasty work. So he's snitching on Patrick Johnson. Salute to Pat. You already know what it is, man. At the time, Johnson controlled the drug trade in all of Compton and also distributed in the Los Angeles area. Johnson was subsequently arrested federally and went into federal custody. Then in approximately 1991, Davis became the drug supplier controlling the south side of Compton. When Wayne Day was arrested by the FBI, Davis and his cousin Rodney Black Mom, a.k.a. Speedy, took over the area that had been controlled by Day. Davis and Black Moan became the major suppliers in the Jordan housing projects in Watts. That's the Grape Streets, Watts Baby Low Crips. He's claiming that him and Black Moan became the major suppliers of work to the Grape Streets after Wayne Day was arrested by the FBI. So now you talk about Keefe D, and this is kind of letting you know what type of stature that he had in the streets of Compton, Los Angeles, or whatever. He just listed one of most people don't know because Los Angeles is mostly known about the gangsters and the gang subculture. But a lot of people are asleep to the players and the hustlers, legendary, that came up out this city. But he was mingling among and dealing with some of these hustlers. And he was doing his thing. He was getting to his bag. So imagine you see somebody in the same game you in, assuming that he running the same kind of plays you running. But obviously, he was running his own play, playing both sides of the game. In the early 1990s, when Death Row Records was started, Marion Knight called Suge gained control of the North Compton drug trade. Knight was associated with all of the Blood Street gangs in Compton, and members of these blood gangs participated with and assisted Knight in the distribution of cocaine. Knight would offer blood members getting out of jail thousands of dollars to act as enforcers. When Knight went to prison, Reggie Wright Jr. became the leader of this drug enterprise. Y'all believe that? Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. This is interactive, and I definitely want to know what y'all think about.
I believe it.
Hey, Gaga say he believe it. Let me get down to the bottom. Get active in the chat at the bottom, man. Let me know if y'all believe it. If y'all buying what Keefe D was selling to the feds, man. Can you pit me on, please? Spanish mommy, what you mean pit you on? Put you on what? With some work? I don't sell drugs, shawty. You know what I'm saying? P. White from the UK, BBB TV General said possibly. Possibly. Yeah, it's definitely possible. You know what I'm saying? We don't know for sure, but I'm kind of buying what he's saying. If y'all remember, if Wack was Suge's driver and was always up under Suge, and Stutterbox had told the feds that Wack was a courier for Suge Knight, moving dope from Mexico all the way up to the north. Wilson Vibe said, I am sure there is some truth, but not all. You already know, Grip. Money Grip said, I could believe it. Always positive. That's crazy as fuck. It's a dirty game. What you thought that it was law-abiding citizens? You believe that the police is upstanding citizens? Man, I wish I still had that type of naivety. You know what I'm saying? If I could live my life being that naive. Selective truth, Makita says. Woke times 2. Salute. Monique said, I believe it. Chris Sleeve, salute. Salute. Him and his daddy got caught selling drugs with the grapes, a federal case. Yeah, with the weed and the other stuff. They pled out to the weed and I think money laundering or some kind of fraud, whatever. So, yeah, they definitely was moving drugs and probably was moving drugs back then. So I don't believe he was lying about that. And that's the point I was coming to show, that he definitely was telling some kind of truth. I think he's telling the truth that effing Nick is telling the truth. Big Deuce, yeah, he telling the truth. Then P. White UK said Rampart. Yeah, exactly. People are so naive, like they didn't remember about the Rampart scandal. I myself, the dirty police tried to knock me down with a pistol, try to unalive me. I was 19 years old. Dirty police planted drugs on me after telling everybody they were going to do it, then after bragging to everybody once they got me. You understand what I'm saying? This is normal program, the motor operandi of most gang units and task force and narcos in Los Angeles, inner city specifically. They're not going to Bel Air pulling off this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? They're going to flood the inner cities, predominantly melanated and Latinos. Reggie and his pappy are no good, notorious pigs. Notorious P.I.G. like Biggie, huh? Notorious Rampart was dirty. Yeah, we're going to be getting into that. I told y'all we got the Hip Hop Police documentary coming up. Yeah, F Rampart, F77, F Wilshire. What about Southwest? That's who got me. I'm a single mom of a boy and a girl. Hey, look, little mama, Spanish mama, mammy, 2025. You sound kind of thirsty. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure you're going to find somebody that's trying to take you in, but they'll give you some slong if you're looking for some black phallus. Some New Year phallus, you know what I'm saying? You got some thirsty dudes in the chat. That's why CS Tupac was considered a low-level drug dealer. Michael Melvin. Listen, bro, I got to get you, what size you wear? I got to get you a T-shirt or some kind of merch. That is the comment of the day. That's why CS Tupac was considered a low-level drug dealer. That's what Stutterbox, who was Wack neighbor, told the police, told Greg Kading and Darren Dupree that Wack is how they could get leverage on Suge. let's get back to the content, man. So in the 1990 or the beginning of 1991, Keefe D. Davis visited Johnson at the Metropolitan Detention Center. That's MDCLA, right there on Alameda, right off the freeway. If you're on the freeway, you're going to see the building going right up with the cages on the floors above the 5th floor. That's MDCLA. Johnson told Davis that he was starting a record company. This is Lil Pat, called Death Row Records. Johnson then directed Davis to give approximately $80,000 in money that Davis owed Johnson from previous drug transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, Tasiah, LNU, so that the money could be used to start Death Row Records. Tasiah and Kango, LNU, a black female believed to be the girlfriend of Michael Harris, called Harry O, then came to Davis's apartment in Irvine and picked up the money. Davis gave them the money in cash. Davis is also aware that Harris contributed money to start Death Row Records. He knows this from conversations with Johnson and Tasiah and Kango. Although at that time, Harris was referred to as Ken. Davis had met Harris and later recognized that Ken was Harris when he saw a television news show which profiled the largest drug dealers in Los Angeles, one of them being Michael Harris, Harry O. So, you're talking about he's rubbing shoulders with Lil Pat, another hustler. I was in MDCLA with Lil Pat, Lamborghinis, Chino Hill Mansion, shit looked like something out of the movie of Scarface, beautiful wife, family, kids. He getting that dope. Real hustlers. Harry O. Obviously, you see what type of time Harry O was on if he was fronting money to start up Death Row. Allegedly, right? So, when asked if a dispute ever later arose between Johnson and Suge Knight, for example, over Knight not making payments to Johnson, Davis responded that he knew of no disputes. The two remained friendly, and Davis heard that Johnson called Knight every day. So Pat and Suge never fell out, if you believe in Keefe D. That their business relationship and whatever they worked out will continue to be good throughout the whole time, if you listen to Keefe D. Davis was friendly with Knight until Knight and others beat his nephew, Orlando Anderson, in Las Vegas on the day that Tupac Shakur was killed. In approximately 1995, Davis was invited to a party thrown by Knight. The party was at a house on Winnetka near the Hidden Hills area in Los Angeles County. Knight had, and now Reggie Wright Jr. has, associations with police officers who assist in the drug enterprise and even commit murders for Knight. At the 1995 party, approximately 6 Compton Police Department officers and some Los Angeles Police Department officers were at the party providing security. Some of them wore jackets saying Right Way Security, a company owned by Reggie Wright Jr. Although Davis does not know the names of most of the officers, 2 of the Compton Police Department officers were Sergeant Reynolds and Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr., the father of Reggie Wright Jr. Davis knows that Knight has bought cars for several of the officers. For example, Knight bought a Legend for Reynolds and a Lexus for Reggie Wright Jr. Davis also knows that the mayor of Compton, Omar Bradley, associated with Knight and the Blood gang members. Davis knows that the mayor has attended parties with them. Well, if Suge had a relationship with Omar Bradley, why did Reggie Wright Jr. wear a wire or try to set up Omar Bradley? The game is tricky, bro. Kids, stay in school. I hope you learning something today. Davis also advised that the word on the street is that Compton Police Department officers commit murders for night. Specifically, Keefe D has heard that Compton Police Department officers killed Bruce Richardson approximately 2 years ago. Richardson was a drug dealer who owned a car wash at 52nd Street in Crenshaw. Richardson had gotten into a fight with Knight and beat Knight up shortly before he was murdered. Big Bruce, another homie up off the Brims off 65th Street. Let's see if we go.
Bruce a million.
Bruce a million. Hey, what you know about Big Bruce? I'm finna look for this documentary. I thought I had sent it to me.
Since he played basketball at Crenshaw.
Okay, hold on. Let me get Henny up here. My bad. I gotta get Henny up here because that's my girl. And I get regulated. Yeah, I get regulated because she is the queen of paperwork. And if I step on her toes, I'm gonna be in trouble. So while we waiting for you with us? Y'all just be dipping in and out.
Bro, I'm right here, bro. My y'all know my service be in and out. I'm right here.
Bruce, what's Bruce's last name?
Richardson.
I know they got a documentary on here it go, Hood War Stories 3 months ago. Shout out Hood War Stories. We finna get into that, which is gonna give us some time, and then we'll get back into the paperwork. Let us introduce you to Big Bruce. Let's go.
Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of Bruce Richardson. Bruce was raised in a modest home on 65th Place in Kansas Avenue, also known as Players Lane in South Central Los Angeles.
Players
he began
Lane,
martial arts
man.
training at 8 years old, where he learned his techniques and over time became an exceptional street fighter, winning gold medals and trophies. Coming up, he never turned down a fight. He fought at least 20 guys in the neighborhood, and at least half of them would need a visit to the hospital. The Black Karate Federation was going strong back in the day. Young guys were lifting, doing karate, and doing drugs, which was a recipe for disaster. Bruce played varsity basketball at Crenshaw High. He was very popular, well-known around school. One day after class.
Hey, just so y'all know, the Black Karate Federation, that's who Big U got his certification under. That's who Tiny Draws and their family got their certification under. So pay attention.
Bruce and Big U got into a physical altercation, allegedly over a woman, that started when Bruce took flight on Big U, sending him flying into the bushes. Big U kicked his way out, and him and Bruce continued their fight, which eventually turned into a rumble when the basketball team and gang members got involved. There's been speculation on whether Bruce gangbanged. It was rumored that he ran with the Brims for a short period, although his home was technically on the Menlo side. Sources close to him confirmed that he was indeed not from Menlo. The influence that Bruce had over the guys on his block was practically his own gang, so they called themselves the 65th Place Hustlers, Baby Kansas Avenue to be exact. But after he graduated high school in 1983, Bruce's primary focus was getting money. This is right when the crack era took full effect. Bruce would take full advantage of the lucrative market. In the span of 2 years, he became one of the biggest drug dealers on the west side of South Central. As revenue poured in, Bruce paid off his childhood home and bought a property on the next block. He moved his mother to Rder Heights. There she could be at a safe distance from operations. He also got an apartment in Inglewood, which would serve as the cook-up spot. With hundreds of thousands of drug money raining in, Bruce had to find a way to clean the money. So he opened up multiple legitimate businesses. In 1986, he received his business license to open up Genius Hand Car Wash, which was located at 5158 Crenshaw Boulevard. At the car wash, he would have more than 60 members working there on payroll. Bruce would also splurge on himself. He'd be seen driving down Florence in a black custom Benz with white curtains. Oftentimes, people underestimated Bruce because of his clean-cut look. One time, he was in line at Ralph's, attempting to buy loads of baking soda with $5,000 in food stamps. A buff guy that resembled Debo began yelling at Bruce, saying that he was holding up the line. The guy continued to antagonize Bruce and clown him for the suit he was wearing, and got in Bruce's personal space. It was then Bruce hit him with a front kick, and Debo took a tumble. Bruce finished whooping on him. After Bruce checked out, he gave the cashier an extra $200 to not call the police. Rich off crack check, business owner check. At this point, Bruce was looking to set up as many streams of income as possible. preferably legit legal sources. After seeing Suge's rise to power as the CEO of Death Row Records, Bruce figured why not do the same. He had the means and resources to do so. Bruce decided to become a manager of rap groups and beat Suge at his own game. And he became known in the music industry, even being mentioned on Ice-T's song 6 in the Morning. One of Bruce's rap groups, Dramacido, became close with Tupac, who wanted Dramacido to join the Outlaws as a backup performer on the All Eyes on Me album. Bruce gave his permission, but only if Suge promised him a percentage of the album's royalties. But after the album was completed, Suge not only refused to pay and signed as a client with Suge's West Coast management. Bruce and Suge already had multiple run-ins leading up to this. It came to a breaking point one night at the club, after Suge approached Bruce's girlfriend, telling her to leave Bruce and go with him. Bruce then walked up to Suge and decked him with an uppercut. After dropping Suge with a combo mix-up, he proceeded to beat down on Buntry too. It took 3 of Suge's other goons to contain and remove Bruce. Onlookers were shocked, and it was no secret Suge wanted retaliation. 2 weeks later, Bruce was shot dead in his home. Initially, police thought Buntry and Neckbone were the culprits, considering this was their type of get-down. But after further investigation, that seemed unlikely in this case. The big question remained how the Codes had gained access to Bruce's home. His place was a virtual fortress, with reinforced steel doors, double-dead bolt locks, heavy bars on the windows, and an elaborate alarm system. The evidence clearly indicated that Bruce had opened the door for his killers, engaging in a fierce battle with them only after they were inside the house. He wouldn't have just opened the door for Suge's goons, especially after what transpired 2 weeks earlier. He might have opened the door for a few guys dressed in police uniforms. According to the Rolling 60s, Tupac called Bruce's father shortly after the murder to say that he had nothing to do with it. Tupac couldn't say the same about Suge, however. 2 days after Bruce was murdered, his girlfriend was shot to death in a car by some railroad tracks. Bruce would be known as a hustler extraordinaire and someone who did right by people. His murder is currently unsolved.
Look at Lorraine, big home girl. She like
I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Shout out Hood World Stories, man. That's Big Bruce. And that what Keefe D is alleged in this paperwork, the briefing, is that Big Bruce was unalived by police shortly after knocking out Suge Knight over a debt, an unpaid debt for royalties, allowing him to use Dramacido on the Tupac album. Nasty work, man. But we definitely cooking. We got the queen of paperwork in the building. Henny gang.
Yeah, what's popping?
Did you get that email from me? I think I sent it to Charmaine or...
You be so behind. I got it. I responded to you.
Oh,
and
my
I
bad.
asked you where you were.
I'm on exhibits. So exhibit on page 3 of exhibit 1. Page 3 of exhibit 1. And then I could close this now and allow you to share it so you can see it how you want to see it. You know what I'm saying?
I got it. You could leave it up on the screen. I
already took it down. I want to let you do how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Get up off of your high heels, red bottoms, and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So you already read that last sentence on page 2?
Yes.
All right. So you read that part. All right. So Tashia, is that her name?
Yeah.
And
you want me to pull it back up so they can see?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Pull it back up so they can see. But I'm going to be reading from my end.
Okay, let me get it. Boom, that's even better. Hold on. Bam, exhibit 1, and it was page 3. Boom. All right, so there we go.
All right, Tashia and Kango LNU, a Black female believed to be the girlfriend of Michael Harris, called Harry O, then came to Davis' apartment in Irene and picked up the money. Davis gave them the money in cash. Davis is also aware that Harris contributed money to start Death Row Records. He knows this from conversations with Johnson and Tashia and Kango. Although at the time, Harris was referred to as Ken, Davis had met Harris and later realized that Ken was Harris when he saw a television news show which profiled the largest drug dealers in Los Angeles, one of them being Harris. When asked if a dispute ever later arose between Johnson and Knight, for example, over Knight not making payment to Johnson, Davis responded that he knew of no dispute. The two remained friendly, and Davis heard that Johnson called Knight every day. Davis was friendly with Knight until Knight and others beat his nephew Orlando Anderson in Las Vegas on the day that Tupac was unalived. In approximately 1995, Davis was invited to a party thrown by Knight. The party was at a house how do you say that name?
Winnetka. I think that's how you say it. Winnetka.
Winnetka. Okay. At a house on Winnetka near the Hidden Hills area of Los Angeles, California. Knight had, and now Reggie Wright Jr. Has associations with police officers who assist in the drug enterprise and even commit unalivings for Knight. At the 1995 party, approximately 6 Compton Police Department officers and some Los Angeles Police Department officers were at the party providing security. Some of them wore jackets saying Right Way Security and a company owned by Reggie Wright Jr. Although Davis does not know the names of most of the officers, 2 of the Compton Police Department officers were Sergeant Reynolds and Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr., the father of Reggie Wright Jr. Y'all got to let me know when y'all want me to stop.
No, do your thing.
Davis knows that Knight has bought cars for several of the officers. For example, Knight bought a Legend for Reynolds and a Lexus for Reggie Wright Jr. Davis also knows that the mayor of Compton, Omar Bradley, associated with Knight and the Blood Gang members. Davis knows that the mayor has attended parties with them. Damn, so he got the cops, he got the mayors. He plugged in. Davis also knows, Davis also advised that the word on the street is that Compton Police Department officers committed unalivings for Knight. Specifically, Davis heard that Compton Police Department officers unalived Bruce Richardson approximately 2 years ago. Richardson was a drug dealer who owned a car wash on 52nd and Crenshaw. Richardson had gotten into a fight with Knight and beat Knight up shortly before he was unalived. Concerning the current drug organization run by Reggie Wright Jr., one of the distribution locations is the Untouchable Auto Shop located on you got to help me with Alondra, and Washington in Compton. The shop is owned by Melvin Hurd. Hurd, G. Ray, and Jim distributed cocaine from the shop. Individuals who worked for Reggie Wright Jr. assisting in the distribution of cocaine include Mob James, a member of Mob Piru's street gang, who is approximately 30 years old. 2, Flip, who distributes from a shop called located on Compton Boulevard and Harris. 3, Bumpy Tree, a member of Mob Piru street gang. 4, Trayvon Lane, a member of Mob Piru street gang. And 5, Kevin Wood. Damn, they just snitching. Kevin Woods. Reggie. I mean, shit. I feel like I shouldn't have been reading that.
Right.
Damn. All right. So Reggie Wright Jr.'s organization also includes other members of the Mob Piru, Treetops, and Fruittown Street Gang. Wright's organization supplied the Bounty Hunters and the Spooktown gangs. Damn. A couple of weeks before the murder of Tupac, Marcus, who lived in the Southside Crip neighborhood, was in a mall by himself. A number of Blood Street gang members attacked Marcus and began beating him. Orlando Anderson and others then approached the situation, observed what was happening, and then went to the aid of Marcus. They beat up the Blood gang member at the Las Vegas casino on the day that Tupac Shakur was unalived. The Blood Street gang members and Knight saw Anderson and attacked him because of the previous incident at the mall. After the attack, Davis's girlfriend, Paula Johnson, and Anderson's girlfriend, Rashina, went up to their hotel at the Excalibur Casino. Damn, that hotel right there, boy.
Right.
The room was in Anderson's name. In Anderson's name. The four had driven to Las Vegas in a Land Cruiser. Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, aka Bubble Up, Big Dre, and Wynn had also traveled to Las Vegas. They stayed at the MGM Casino. Davis repeatedly denied knowing who unalived Tupac Shakur. He asked to speculate. When asked to speculate, he said that he believed that Shakur was unalived by Compton Police Department officers working for night. When asked what the motive would be for this, Davis responded that he had heard that Shakur was talking about leaving Death Row Records. Marcus was shot and unalived in April of 1997. When initially asked who unalived Marcus, Davis responded that Ace, a member of the Southside Compton Crips, had been convicted of the murder. Ace and Marcus had not gotten along for a long period of time. Then someone in a van shot up Ace's grandmother's house. People said that it was Davis and his people who had shot up the house. Ace came to believe that the van used was Marcus's dark blue van, and that Marcus had committed the shooting. Accordingly, Ace shot and killed Marcus. At the time he was killed, Marcus was with Tommy, a basketball player who was later interviewed by detectives. In approximately 1993 or 1994, Zip introduced Davis to Notorious B.I.G. at Summer Jam. Damn, they was in New York with it? Davis associated with Notorious B.I.G. when he was in the Los Angeles area. There was never any drug connection between Davis and Notorious Big. Davis was at the music event when Notorious Big was shot and unalived. Prior to the unaliving, Davis observed females associated with Death Row Records at the party. They were Lachelle, a comedian for Death Row, and Jewel, a singer for Death Row. Davis believes they saw Notorious Big at the event, then called Blood Gang members to come. Davis observed Reggie Wright Jr., DJ Quick, a performer for Death Row, Theo, a disc jockey, and about 10 or 11 Treetop and Fruittown Blood Gang members arrived at the event. Davis told Notorious Big they were there and to watch out. Shortly thereafter, Notorious Big was shot. Davis did not see the shooting. Davis believes that Reggie Wright Jr. and the Blood Gang members associated with him unalived Notorious Big. When asked who the individuals was who unalived Notorious B.I.G. and who the composite drawing, I can't see, I gotta get my glasses, wait a minute, composite drawing of the suspect looked like, Davis responded that the composite looked like just like Reggie Wright Jr. Concerning the two quadruple homicides in Compton in 1998, Davis heard that the first was committed by unknown Mexicans. He heard that the second was committed by members of McMafia, a Long Beach gang. The gang members have been committing robberies of people. They were arrested by police and are in custody. Concerning the feud between Owl and Corey Edwards, Davis explained that this went back many years to when the 107 Hoovers did a drive-by and shot and wounded Owl and Terry Brown, and shot and unalived Lee and Lee's brother. One of the Hoovers was unalived and Edwards went to his funeral. Owl, who is the cousin of Akili.
Rest in peace to Beanie for the Body Hunters. Y'all, Kill Squad, y'all know what it is.
Was mad that Edwards would go to a funeral with someone who shot him and unalived his friend. And there has been a feud between the two ever since. Concerning the unaliving of Orlando Anderson in May 29th of 1998, the day after Davis's federal arrest, Anderson and Owl were together when they encountered three members of the Corner Pocket Crips, two whose last names were Stone, and Danny NLU, who is called Danny Stone. Prior to the encounter, Danny had been mouthing off negatively about Anderson. When the five met, Danny pulled out a 25 caliber and started shooting. Anderson pulled out a gun and shot and killed the other two Stones. As Anderson and Owl then drove off, Anderson realized he had been hit by gunfire and later died. Danny is still not in police custody. Davis was asked to discuss all individuals out of state who he supplied cocaine to and all local individuals he supplied that distributed cocaine out of state. He initially advised that he had not distributed cocaine out of state or to anyone who knew anyone who he knew distributed out of state within the last 3 years. In about 1991, Davis made a connection with Primo, also called the Short Man, who was a Colombian cocaine supplier operating in the Los Angeles area. Davis brought kilograms of cocaine from Primo for $11,500 and $12,500 a kilogram. What happened? Primo fronted Davis 200 kilograms of cocaine at the time, which Davis would then sell in 2 to 3 weeks. Prior to being supplied by Primo, Davis was supplied by a supplier named Frank. Golly, how you get that? Primo was
he lining up all the connects.
You see what I'm saying? Like, damn, you just taking everybody with you. Prior to being supplied by Primo, Davis was supplied by a supplier named Frank. Primo and Frank going down.
Yeah.
Primo was Davis's supplier until about 1995 when Primo went back to Colombia. Davis knows that Primo had a ranch in another country in South America, believed to be Guatemala. Until approximately 1993, Davis supplied large quantities of cocaine to Little Rock, Arkansas. An individual named Fink worked for Davis and arranged the transportation of cocaine from the Los Angeles area to Little Rock. Rodney Blackman and Kevin Davis were in Fink's drug location in Little Rock when the police raided it several years ago. On one occasion, Primo fronted Davis 60 kilograms of cocaine. Davis then gave the cocaine to Fink, who arranged for it to be transported to Little Rock. The Compton police intercepted the shipment. Davis owed Primo for the lost cocaine, but Primo told Davis to only pay him for half of the 60 kilograms. Davis accordingly paid Primo approximately $700,000. Davis last supplied Fink in approximately 1993. He believes that Fink still distributes cocaine in Little Rock. Fink has a house in Rialto.
What was it? Rialto? Let me see
Rialto.
how this. Rialto.
Yeah, Rialto. He done told that the man is probably still dealing drugs. What the fuck? This is some prime snitching going on right here in this paper.
Yeah.
I feel dirty reading it. Okay, so until about 3 years ago, Davis supplied Corey Edwards, who was supplying all over Ohio. Going down.
At one point, world tour, New York, the plugs in Guatemala and Colombia.
Little Rock, Arkansas. Now we in Ohio. Where we going next? Damn. At one point in approximately 1993, Edwards got into some trouble, and Edwards' Cleveland drug contact, Joe Bubbs, started coming out to the Los Angeles area to acquire cocaine directly from Davis. Bubbs, who is a resident of Cleveland, Ohio, is currently doing 70 months in federal prison. He done told on everybody in there. When Bubbs came to Los Angeles to obtain the cocaine, he came to George and LNU, his drug courier, who was about 50 years old. George would drive the cocaine back to Cleveland in a van. Davis broke off the drug relationship with Bubbs after he believes that Bubbs and George were working with the FBI to make a case on Davis. On this occasion, in approximately 1993, Bubbs and George came to the Los Angeles area to acquire cocaine. Before delivering the cocaine, Davis observed several cars surveilling him. which he believed was the FBI. He did not go through with the drug transaction. Davis has never supplied cocaine to Greg Brooks. Davis knew Brooks was distributing to Baltimore. Shit, we in Baltimore now, y'all. Samuel Lopez became Davis's main supplier after Primo went to Colombia. So now we on another supply.
Another connect. This the third plug he's giving up.
Right. And we ain't even make it to exhibit 2 yet, right?
Right.
Nasty work. Damn. Okay, Davis also began selling similar quantities at the same time. Samuel Lopez, brother Herman Lopez, is currently in federal custody. Davis has heard that Samuel Lopez went to Mexico after the FBI attempted to arrest him. George Lopez, who's about 60 or 70 years old, used to answer the phone for Samuel Lopez. Now, what was the purpose? Never mind. Let me shut up. Let me keep reading.
Right.
Davis at first denied any
he
drug.
was 16 or 17 years old. He's snitching on his son.
17. I said 70. My bad.
Yeah.
But even still, like, damn, you even telling who's picking up the phone and taking the messages. Like,
The
nobody is safe.
It's the kid. He's a teenager.
Like, nobody's safe. You, what you gonna do now? Who you gonna tell on next? Davis at first denied any drug connection with an individual referred to as Dupree, who lived in Palmdale. Davis initially said that he was trying to start a music company to sell CDs, and for this reason was in contact with Dupree. Oh, shoot. That ain't the Dupree I'm thinking about, right?
Nah.
Okay, somebody else.
But his name's in this paperwork also, but go ahead.
Agents then played for Davis a tape of an intercepted telephone conversation between Davis and Ezell Dupree Hall III, which occurred on June 24th, 1997. Davis stated that call was between him and Dupree and acknowledged that during the call, Dupree was saying that he had people coming from out of state to the Los Angeles area to purchase cocaine. Davis denied knowing where the buyers from out of state were coming from. Agents then showed Davis the following Department of Motor Vehicle photographs with the identifying information covered up. When shown the photograph of Samuel Lewis, they gave his license number. Damn. Davis identified him as Samuel Lopez, who had been Davis's cocaine supplier. When shown a photograph of Corey Edwards, Davis identified him as Corey Edwards. When shown a photograph of Ezell Dupree Hall III, Davis identified him as the individual who lived in Palmdale called Dupree. Davis was again instructed to tell the truth. Davis did supply cocaine to Dupree. Dupree had an out-of-state buyer in Kentucky.
We in Kentucky now.
You know what I'm saying? Now, they would bring the suitcases of money to Davis to purchase 8 to 13 kilos of cocaine at the time. Davis would then take the money to Lopez, acquire the cocaine, and give it to Dupree. Concerning the telephone call played by the agents, the call concerned Dupree and Davis discussing waiting on the Kentucky buyer coming to Los Angeles to purchase cocaine. Dupree had already had conversations with the Kentucky buyer as to the price that the buyer would pay for the cocaine. This transaction eventually occurred after the Kentucky purchaser arrived in Los Angeles, wanting 11 kilograms of cocaine. Dupree then gave Davis approximately $200,000 in cash. Davis went to Palmdale to get the money and met Dupree at the Holiday Inn on Palmdale Boulevard. Davis got the room. Oh, they at the Holiday Inn. The day after Davis picked up the money, he got the 11 kilograms of cocaine from Samuel Lopez. Dupree then sent one of his drug workers called Hammer, a black man about 50 years old, to pick up the 11 kilograms from Davis. Davis believes the buyer from Kentucky was called Sporty. He was a light-skinned black man about 29 or 30 years old with crazy hair and gold teeth. That sounded about right. That sounds
about right.
Dupree is a member of the Carver Park Street Gang. Davis has been supplying him since about 1996. At the time, Dupree was a middleman for local buyers. He then became a middleman for the Kentucky buyer. The Kentucky buyer paid out-of-state prices for cocaine, and Dupree and Davis would split up this out-of-state profit. The Kentucky buyer would pay approximately $29,000 or $30,000 per kilogram of cocaine. Dupree is a music producer and has a music studio called K5, which is located in Palmdale on Palmdale Boulevard near 3rd Street. Dupree drives rental cars. Damn. Hammer, who is a drug courier for Dupree, is a contractor. Regarding 3 intercepted phone conversations on June 20th of 1997, previously played for Davis. In the first 2 calls, Davis is talking to Sean Williams, who is called Wood. In the calls, when the 2 of 2 is said, they made when 2 for 2 is said, they may be talking about playing Nintendo. What? Davis is not a party to the conversation in the 3rd call. Davis would front cocaine to Williams, generally in 9 ounces or half kilogram quantities. Williams would then sell the cocaine and bring the money back to Davis. Prior to 1990, the leader of the Nutty Block Crips was Woodrat, a brother of Sean Williams. Since he went to jail in 1990, the leaders of the Nutty Block Crips have been Sean Williams and Jesse, believed to be referring to Jesse Barker. Another brother of Sean Williams is Danny Williams, who is also known to be an informant for Baker, a Compton Police Department officer. After Samuel Lopez flew to Mexico, Davis was supplied with cocaine by TJ, a Mexican supplier. Davis believes that TJ is still a supplier of cocaine. You want me to pause?
That's the 4th connect he done got down.
Man, listen. When asked about the nature of his drug relationship with Rodney Blackman, Davis responded that sometimes Davis would have cocaine when Blackman did not, and Davis would supply it to Blackman. And other times, Blackman would have cocaine when Davis did not, and Blackman would supply it to Davis. So are we going to count this as the 5th one?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah, he's still getting out him because he was supplying him, and then he was supplying him. Still, right. He was another supplier, right?
Robert, a Mexican in Paramount, supplied Blackman. So now that's another supplier, but that ain't his supplier, but that's still a supplier. So that's what, 6? Damn. Wynn would find drug customers for Davis. Wynn lives in Long Beach. Concerning the vehicle stop of Davis in July 1997, on that day, Davis had met Blackman at Samuel Lopez's drug location on Willowbrook and Compton. Lopez told them to come back in 30 minutes to pick up the cocaine. Davis then got into the van with Blackman, and as they went to a Taco Bell, he realized they were under surveillance. They were subsequently stopped by LAPD. At the police station, a red-haired...
That's crazy. They're in Compton, and they were subsequently stopped by LAPD, which should have let them know that it was a larger investigation going on. But go ahead.
All right. They were subsequently stopped at, at the police station, a red-haired LAPD officer told Davis to stay out of Watts. Davis followed his orders and stopped using Blackman's residence. After being released from custody, Davis and Blackman returned to Lopez's drug location and picked up 9 kilograms of cocaine. On a subsequent day, Davis observed that Blackman was being followed by law enforcement. Davis denied that he was the leader of the Southside Compton Crips. Darnell Brim, who was recently arrested, is the leader of the gang, so he giving up.
So now he's snitched on Darnell Brim, saying Darnell was the leader. I'm not the leader. He's the leader, right?
That's crazy.
So that's the end of Exhibit 1. He gave up. He implicated Suge and Reggie Wright in the murder of Big Bruce, right?
Mhm.
He implicated him in the police in moving drugs. Reggie Wright Jr. and Suge Knight were moving drugs. He implicated Lil Pat from Watts and Harry O, of which it was an investigation going on saying that Death Row was started with and seeded with drug money from Harry O, but nobody never hear that Lil Pat name was also included. So I don't know how true this is, but Keefe D definitely was specific about it. Even said that he went to visit Lil Pat, and Lil Pat gave him the orders, the 80,000 he owned, to take it to Harry O girl or whatever. Well, let's get on the part exhibit 2.
All right, y'all. So this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation's date of transcript, April 20th of 1999. Dwayne Keith Davis, protect identity, which it was not. Date of birth, June 14th, 1963. Was interviewed by agents of the Federal Correctional Institution, the FCI, in Safford, Arizona. Prior to the interview, Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell had received permission from Davis attorney Edie Fahal for agents to conduct the interview. Davis was not advised of his Miranda rights during the interview. Davis requested confidentiality, and this FD-302 document should not be disseminated outside of the FBI. Well, clearly it is. During the interview, Davis provided the following information. Y'all get ready, because he about to start snitching again. Concerning the shooting death of Orlando Anderson in May of 1998, Davis has heard that Daniel Smith, who people call Danny Stone, was involved in the shooting and was the person who shot and killed Anderson. Prior to the day of the shooting, Smith was going around telling rumors about Anderson and mouthing off about Anderson. On the day of the shooting, Anderson was with Owl, Michael Durow, at a hamburger stand in Compton, California. Saw Smith and crossed the street to a car wash to confront him. Smith, who was with Michael and Jerry Stone, pulled out a gun and shot Anderson. Anderson then shot and killed the two Stones before he died. Smith is a member of the Corner Pocket Crips and is about 33 to 34 years old. Michael Stone was the leader of the Corner Pocket Crips. After the shooting, Owl was charged with manslaughter by the Compton Police Department. At Owl's preliminary hearing, Michael Stone's mother told the prosecutor and judge that they had the wrong person and that Smith and not Owl should have been charged. Davis believes that Anderson's death the day after the FBI arrest of Davis and others was just a coincidence. Davis is not aware of any motive for why the Blood Gang members or individuals associated with Death Row would have wanted to kill Anderson. Anderson was not involved in the shooting death of Tupac Shakur, and neither Davis nor his group killed Shakur or Christopher Wallace, aka Notorious B.I.G. Davis doesn't know who killed the two rap stars. He believes that either individuals from New York associated with Puffy Combs. Damn. Diddy, you going down. Ooh-wee, or individuals associated with Death Row Records could have killed Shakur, and that individuals associated with Death Row Records killed Wallace. Now, pause. Hold on. Wait a minute. So now he's throwing it on Death Row Records, but I thought he said that Diddy paid him.
He didn't get there. See, if you look at the dates, this was his 99 statements where he was being less than all the way obvious, honest. Right? Mm-hmm. Honest, right? And you'll see the progression of changes in his testimony at various proffer sessions. So this one was April 15, 1999.
The conflict between Davis and Marion Knight And the conflict between Southside Compton Crips and the Compton Bloods Pyru gang began as a result of the mall altercation between Marcus Nunn, Orlando Anderson, and other members of the Southside Compton Crips with the Compton Blood gang members, including Trayvon Lane. This altercation led to the later assault on Orlando Anderson in the Las Vegas casino, during which night the Blood gang members and other associates of Death Row Records beat and kicked Anderson. Davis and Anderson were upset after the casino attack on Anderson, but they were not going to strike back with so many police officers around. They would have struck back once they returned to Compton. After Tupac was shot and killed shortly after the casino attack on Anderson, there was a war between Southside Compton Crips and Compton Blood gangs. During the war, Davis' group lost Bobby Finch. Also, Darnell Brim was shot. Davis believes that the Compton Police Department spread the word that Anderson and Davis's group had killed Shakur. Also, people speculated that this is what happened because of the circumstances of the attack on Anderson shortly before the shooting. Davis is aware that Anderson testified favorably for Knight at Knight's probation violation hearing. Davis is unaware of Anderson receiving any payment for that testimony and is also unaware of any subsequent requests or demands by Anderson for money from Knight. In the course of providing the above information, Davis advised that Knight's uncle was also in custody in Safford FCI. David, why he told on his uncle though?
No, he's saying that Suge uncle is there with him. He's the feds then came to Safford, Arizona to interview Keefe D for a proffer session while he in jail. And he's telling them, hey, look, Suge uncle here with me, and I'm just trying to do my time. I don't want no problems.
But you know what? This sounds real familiar because he's saying that there's threats on his life where he is now.
Right.
Davis further advised that he did not want any trouble with Knight or his people and just wanted to serve his time peacefully until release. The agents then showed Davis a California Department of Motor Vehicles photograph of James Anthony Welch, DLN. Oh, they gave his driver's license number with the identifying information covered up and asked Davis if he knew who the person in the photograph was. Davis then stated that the person in the photograph was called Rick James. Davis then immediately further stated that the word on the street was that this person had killed FL, a rap music producer in Inglewood. The murder of FL was ordered by Knight. Knight and FL had agreed to a $150,000 record deal. Knight paid FL the $150,000, but FL didn't produce the record. Knight then had Rick James kill FL. Knight also ordered the murder of 3 rap artists killed in Los Angeles in the same time period. These were the artists who were supposed to have performed on the record to be produced by FL. Rick James is a Treetop Blood gang member. He recently cooperated against Pooh on a federal PC. You want to read that? Because I'm not even going to try.
A PCP. That's Sherm on the Sherm case.
Because of his cooperation, no one is dealing with him anymore. Davis was asked to provide further information regarding officers regarding his previous information regarding Compton Police Department officers committing murders for Knight. Davis advised that specifically he had heard that Frederick Reynolds participated in the murder of Bruce Richardson. The Compton Police Department executed 2 search warrants on Davis's location in connection with the rap murders. The first was in October of 1996 at the Burris Streets address, and the second was in May of 1997 at the California Street address. Reynolds came to the California Street address during the second raid. Davis stated that all of the Compton PD is corrupt. Davis explained that numerous officers there had an affiliation with Knight and the Blood Street gang. Davis denied having any association with any law enforcement officers who protected him or had drug organizations. Davis doesn't know the names of most of the law enforcement officers who he has observed associating with Knight and the Bloods. The only 2 Compton Police Department officers whose names he knew that are corrupt are Reginald Wright Sr. and Frederick Reynolds. Davis has not heard any information regarding corruption of the chief of the Compton Police Department. Reginald Wright Jr. became the leader of Knight's criminal organization after Knight went to jail. Davis believes that Reginald Wright Jr. still controls the drug trade in the northern part of Compton. We're just going to call him Reggie because that's what we know him as.
Right.
Reggie Wright Jr. tries to be hands off in conducting his drug businesses, having his people physically take possession of and distribute the drugs rather than handling the drugs himself. Davis advised that this was the manner in which he tries to operate his drug organization before his federal arrest. Agents showed Davis a photo of an unidentified male who had been referred to by other persons interviewed as Ponytail. Davis advised that he did not know who the person in the photograph was. Davis was then asked if he had heard of a supplier called Ponytail. Davis answered that he had heard that there was a big supplier of cocaine called Ponytail who had supplied Knight and other blood gang members. Davis also heard that Ponytail, who was believed to be Mexican, would distribute cocaine 500 kilograms at a time.
Oh, this is the 7 plug.
Okay, I was just about to say that. Damn, that's 7. But everything on Suge, huh?
Yeah.
Knight and then Reggie Wright Jr. were supplied with cocaine by All Star Tire and also by Ponytail. The main guy, quote unquote, at All Star Tire involved in the drug distribution is Gray. The main members of Reggie Wright Jr.'s organization are believed to be Buntree Al,
Rest in peace.
Trayvon
Lane,
Kevin Wood, Fink, and Zeke. Zeke, a Blood, and Fink, a Crip, are drug partners and were partners prior to Davis's Little Rock cocaine shipment that was intercepted. After Davis stopped supplying the two, they then began to be supplied by Knight. Fink had the connections with Davis. Zeke had the connections with Knight. Zeke hangs out at the Mob Pyru hangout location at Stockton and Orchard in Compton.
Now hold on 1 second. So Zeke is Zeke, not Zeke, but he don't even go by that name no more. He go by Face, right? I was in the feds with Face. In fact, me and Face were the two main dudes involved in the chicken riot, right? It was Chicken Day, and he took an extra chicken tray. One of the essays who was orderly took offense to it and tried to regulate it and told him something, and he fired on the essay. And then the 2 other essays ran to jump in, and I jumped in, ended up with the damn the pool stick whacking the essays. And me and him were the only 2 people that went to the hole for that, right? But Zeke was also in the book The Labyrinth by Detective Poole, suspected. I read the book The Labyrinth. I got it from Zeke, was a suspect in the Biggie shooting also. So I definitely know Zeke. I hear other things about him now. Nothing I got confirmation on. I look forward to getting an interview with him in the future, try to see what he up to and all of that. But I just wanted to put that out.
Now, I just want to say, you would be involved in something called the chicken riot now, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm just going to always support my people. I didn't get the piece of chicken. It was Zeke was a porter, right? For Stump Taylor, who was the counselor. So if you trying to holler at Stump Taylor to get on a regular phone call, because you only get like 300 minutes a month in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. After 300 minutes, I don't care if the phone open, you can't call through because it's connected to your specific account. So people go talk to Stump Taylor. Stump Taylor, man, just let me tell my girl, don't come visit me this week, or come visit, whatever you want, a short message. And Stump Taylor was a brother, old man, he'll do it or whatever. Zeke Face, who is Zeke, was his porter. So he would allow the SA Caveman, who was a porter, to do that. Well, Caveman helped pass out the food. So now when he took the chicken, he's basically saying, hey, man, what the fuck you doing? We barely got enough trays, because he's taking an extra tray that he probably wanted that extra chicken. And he was like, so motherfucking what? I always let you come get phone calls because you a porter and jumped the line. So what is you talking about? He said, fuck you in that phone call. And Face said, what? Rah! Hit him. And then ain't no head of Face with no essays in prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Shout out to K-Man from 38th Street. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Zeke. You know what I'm saying? We got active. But yeah. But nah, I didn't get no chicken. I'm just going to always, that's how the program go. They ain't giving us no head up fades. And y'all definitely ain't finna jump a brother. So he got cracking. We know what time it is. You know what I'm saying?
There it is. All right, y'all. So let's get back into the snitch files. Davis has heard that the shop formerly called Untouchables has moved and the Mexicans are now selling from the location. Both G-Ray, okay, so they must have typoed up here where they said Gray, because now down here they saying G-Ray. So
Right.
G-Ray and Jim, who used to distribute drugs at the shop, are both members of Spooktown Crips. Since the FBI arrest in 1998, people are scared to conduct narcotic activities in the Jordan Downs housing projects. Now we into Exhibit 3. And this is the report of investigations by Greg Kading. Good old Greg.
And Darren Dupree.
Yep. Darren Dupree and William Combs, okay? Special Agent Jeff Bennett, interview of Dwayne Davis regarding the murder of Tupac Shakur. The synopsis. On December 18th of 2008, Task Force officers TFO, Greg Kading, William Holcomb, Darren Dupree, along with Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, Special Agents, SA, Jeff Bennett interviewed Dwayne Davis regarding the murder of Tupac Shakur. The interview was conducted at 8447 Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. Also present was Davis' attorney, Wayne Higgins. All right, so it says in the details that on December 18th at approximately 10:30 a.m., investigators met with Dwayne Davis at Davis's attorney's office. Davis reviewed reports containing prior interviews Davis had completed. Davis pointed out several discrepancies in the prior reports, admitting he had not been entirely truthful about specific facts, including the circumstances surrounding the murder of Shakur. Davis was advised that the purpose of the interview was to correct Davis's previous false statements as they related to the murder of Shakur and provide investigators with the factual details. 3. Davis provided the following explanation in the early 1990s. Davis associated with Flint. Flint is known to investigators as Flintard Coleman. Coleman and Davis occasionally played against each other during neighborhood basketball games. Coleman was affiliated with the Santana. Sorry, what?
Santana Block Crips.
Block Crips. Sorry. And Davis was a member of the Southside Crips. The gang/teams would compete for bottles of champagne. It was during these games that Coleman introduced Davis to Zip. Zip is known to investigators as Eric Martin. Martin would occasionally play for Coleman's team.
Real quick, Henny.
With this.
Well, you know, Zip is the New York boy, so we finna let you get into that because now he's finna get into this whole story. But, I mean, playing baseball games for bottles of champagne. We talked about hustlers in Rolls Royces and moving 400 keys at a time, 60 keys at a time. I mean, to a lot of people out there who got a misconception about these Crips and Bloods in Los Angeles being dusty and broke niggas, right? I'm just saying, it sure is a whole lot of hustling going on But I'm gonna go ahead and digress. Go ahead.
And a whole lot of money on the table. I'm just gonna now, just so that we are up to speed and everybody's on the same page. We're now in March. We're March 16th of 2009. That's the date that this report was prepared. All right. Davis recalled Coleman beginning his drug activities around this time. Davis, who was also involved in narcotic sales, traveled to New York with Coleman to visit Martin. The purpose of the trips was to conduct a multi-kilogram cocaine deal with Martin. Davis, who was providing the cocaine, stayed at Martin's house in Jersey City. Coleman acted as a broker between Davis and Martin after Coleman was arrested in Florida. Davis conducted a PCP transaction with Martin and began to socialize with Martin when Martin would come to Los Angeles. Okay, in or around 1992, Martin introduced Davis to Sean Puffy Combs. Davis recalled the introduction occurring at the Palisade nightclub on Santa Monica Boulevard. After speaking with Combs, Davis agreed to allow Combs to use his 1964 Chevy in a music video. The video featured the artist Usher. After the vehicle was damaged in production of the video, Combs paid $2,500 to have it repaired. Davis recalls Martin visiting Los Angeles on a monthly basis. Davis recalls meeting with Combs socially on several occasions. Most of the meetings between Davis and Combs occurred at Greenblatt's restaurant on Sunset Boulevard. However, Combs became hesitant to visit Los Angeles because of ongoing hostilities with Marion Suge Knight. The hostilities were exacerbated after Knight appeared on stage during an award show in New York and publicly humiliated Combs. So the vehicle that they talking about was in the Usher. That's the video that was used in that Usher video. And we all know that the award show they talking about was the Source Awards. All right.
Right. If you don't want your CEO all in the video,
come to death row.
Right.
During the 1995 music festival known as Summer Jam. Damn, everything was going down at Summer Jam.
Facts.
At Summer Jam, Knight approached Davis and asked Davis how he knew Combs. Davis told Knight the same way I know you. Davis next recalled that Knight's associate and bodyguard, Jay Robles.
Big J.
Atlanta. That's Wolf. This incident occurred on September 23rd, 1995. Davis heard rumor that Wolf was killed by Robles. Wolf
had killed Robles.
Had killed Robles.
Yeah, right.
Investigators to Anthony Jones. Jones was an associate of Combs. However, Jones is now deceased. On a future occasion, Davis and Martin were together in Compton, California, when Combs called Martin on his cell phone. Combs requested to speak with Davis and asked Davis if he thought it was safe for Combs to come to Los Angeles for a concert. Combs expressed his concerns about Knight and possible retaliation related to the Robles murder. Davis advised Combs that if he would provide Davis with 40 or 50 tickets to the concert, Davis could provide an entourage. Combs agreed, and Davis and his crew, in fact, attended the concert in support of Combs. Davis noted that Knight and his associates did not attend the concert. Davis recalls the concert taking place in Anaheim, California. It was at this event that Combs began to solicit Davis to kill Knight and Shakur. Combs asserted something to the effect of, "I'll give anything for those dudes' heads." Davis stated that Wendell Prince, Orlando Anderson, Corey Edwards, Michael Duro, and Devontae Lee may have heard Combs' statement. After the concert, Combs, along with Davis and members of his entourage, went to a party at a hotel. Oh shit, he was at a freak off.
It might be.
I don't want to see that thing. Davis thought the hotel may have been a Hilton. The party took place inside of a suite. Davis recalls, among others, Combs, Martin, Andre Harrell, and D-Mac, known to investigators as Darius Rogers, to be present. In an adjoining room were additional security personnel hired by Combs. Combs claims that they were Navy SEALs. Prior to the Anaheim concert event, Davis and his associates had attended another concert in San Diego with Combs. However, at this event, Davis' entourage was much smaller, approximately 12 members, including Martin, Anderson, and DeAndre Smith. It was during this event that Davis met Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, for the first time. Additionally, Davis had met with Combs and Wallace in Las Vegas during a boxing match. Davis believes it may have been an Evander Holyfield Buster Douglas fight. The fight was embarked. Well,
Buster Douglas fight. The fight was earmarked by a fan who had
parachuted into the boxing ring, creating a melee. Davis and his crew stayed at the Treasure Island Casino and attended a party hosted by Irvin Magic Johnson. Davis does not recall any discussion about Knight or Shakur. Sorry, y'all know I get tongue-tied. At these events. At a later date, Dwayne Davis, Eric Martin, Corey Edwards, Sean Combs, and others met at Greenblatt's restaurant in Hollywood. While at the restaurant, Combs summoned Davis into a downstairs area. Combs again told Davis he, Combs, needed to get rid of Knight and Shakur. Combs offered Davis $1 million to handle the problem. Davis remembers Combs being very afraid of Knight. On the day before Shakur's murder, Davis, Martin, and others met again at Greenblatt's restaurant and departed from Las Vegas to view a Mike Tyson fight. Davis drove a rented Buick Century. Martin drove a Mercedes-Benz, and Davis's brother, Kevin Davis, drove a rented van. Corey Martin and Tracy Sessions drove the van with Kevin Davis. Davis went to Las Vegas to view the fight and was not anticipating the confrontation with Knight and Shakur. Davis stayed at the Monte Carlo Casino in a room reserved under his wife's, Paula Clemens, name. The following day, Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, and DeAndre Smith arrived in Las Vegas driving a rented Cadillac. The vehicle was rented by Brown's mother-in-law. Anderson stayed at the Excalibur Casino. After acquiring fight tickets from a scalper and meeting up with Martin, the group went to the MGM Casino to witness the bout. After the fight, Davis, Kevin Davis, Terrence Brown, and others went to get something to eat. Anderson was not with Davis due to the fact that his seating location was separate during the fight. While at the restaurant, Davis was informed that Anderson had been assaulted. Davis recalls Martin being in the lobby area with a friend, Richie Rich, and other New York associates. Martin asked Davis, "Do you need some help?" Pause for a second. Richie Rich, the rapper?
Nah, hell no. That's Pac boy.
Can I shout out this cash app? I mean this
super chat.
Super chat. I'm sorry about that, y'all. We got a super chat in the building, man. We got Incline with the 1999 super chat. This is like a movie. 100 up. Hey, listen, we appreciate you, Incline, for the blessing. Anything that's given to the Damu Kiwe Conversations team is always highly appreciated. Bless you and your tribe and your family, man. Damu Kiwe Conversations.
All right.
You doing great, Henny. I'm loving it. He said this is like a movie.
Hey, for real dip. I can't do nothing but listen, Deuce, and be a student of what y'all doing.
Bro, really a student of our culture, bro. We went from how because this dude Keefe D is older, so he coming from a different generation. All of these players and hustlers he was involved with, money getters, and he was in this field doing what they're doing, but he was a rat. It was in him the whole time. He's collecting information for the day that he gets caught or gets booked, and he gets to telling on everybody, connects. Bro, I done lost counting just to connect. We're not talking about the murders. We're not talking about the police. We're talking about just the drug connects that he done told on since we done started in 4 exhibits. And this, I'm quite sure this ain't all the exhibits. You know what I'm saying? But let's go, Henny. I know you ready to get this over with.
All right. So Davis also encountered another associate of his, Anthony Triggs, who offered to help Davis retaliate against Anderson's assailants. Davis said, whoa, I think I skipped something. Okay, wait, we was here. Martin asked Davis, do you need help? Martin advised Davis that he had a pow. Well, we way past the mark, so I could say it. Had a gun. Right. Davis also encountered another associate of his, Anthony Triggs, who offered to help Davis retaliate against Anderson's assailants. Davis informed Martin and Triggs that his crew would handle the problem. After encountering Martin in the lobby, Martin and Davis went to Martin's vehicle in the parking lot. Inside of Martin's Mercedes-Benz, Davis observed female rap artist Inga Marcher, a.k.a. Foxy Brown.
Hold up. Hold up. So Foxy Brown, Inga, Corrupt X. Oh, Corrupt, me and Corrupt talked about Inga too, because I used to have such a crush on Foxy. She like my real type. Like if I could find the perfect female, like the outside, it would have been Inga, tight eyes, chocolate, beautiful skin, all of that. But I'm just, it takes more. It's more on the inside also. Right. But Inga is in the car messing with this dude from New York who allegedly gives the gun over Zip, gives the gun that allegedly unalived Tupac Shakur to Keefe D. Nasty work. She will be a witness in this trial. Yep. Hands down.
Martin directed Brown to exit the car so that Davis and Martin could talk. Privately, Davis sat in the front seat, a passenger seat, while Martin occupied the driver's seat. Martin removed the handgun from the compartment in the armrest area. Martin gave the firearm to Davis. Davis observed the weapon to be a .40 caliber Glock handgun. Martin encouraged Davis to follow through with the shooting, advising it was a perfect opportunity to get Knight and Shakur. Davis was aware that Knight and Shakur were expected to attend an event at Knight's nightclub, the 662 Club. Davis got into the rental van with his brother, Wendell Prince, Corey Edwards, Tracy Sessions, and an unknown passenger from Detroit, Michigan. Meanwhile, Orlando Anderson, DeAndre Smith, and Terrence Brown were in the rented Cadillac. Anderson told Davis he had a gun secreted under the hood of the Cadillac. The group drove together to the 662 Club looking for Knight and Shakur. While at the club, Edwards became apprehensive, causing Davis to be uncomfortable around Edwards. After waiting for approximately 15 minutes, the group became impatient and decided to go to the liquor store to purchase alcohol. At the liquor store, Davis exited the van and got into the Cadillac. Davis advised he sat in the front passenger seat. Brown drove. Smith sat behind Brown and Anderson behind Davis. After leaving the liquor store, the occupants of the Cadillac observed female pedestrians yelling, "Tupac, Tupac," at a passing convoy of vehicles. Brown negotiated a U-turn and drove around the convoy. Upon reaching the convoy, the passengers of the Cadillac began to scan the occupants of the convoy vehicles, attempting to locate Knight and Shakur. Brown pulled along the passenger side of the vehicle containing Shakur and Knight, causing Andre Smith to be in the best position to shoot. Davis handed the handgun he received from Martin to Smith. Martin expressed reluctance to shoot, so Anderson grabbed the gun from Smith and began shooting at Knight's vehicle. While Anderson was shooting, Davis recalls Knight looking directly at Davis. Davis recalled Tupac trying to escape the line of fire by getting in the back seat. As Brown drove away from the scene, a vehicle attempted to follow the suspect's vehicle. Davis believes the car was a Sebring or something similar, driven and occupied by females. Anderson shot at the pursuing vehicle, causing it to cease. Brown then drove the group to a parking lot near the carriage house. The group exited the car, and Anderson placed the gun on top of the front passenger tire. While the group walked to the Monte Carlo casino, they observed a passing ambulance, which they presumed was en route to the hospital from the shooting scene. The group then spent the evening partying at the Monte Carlo casino. Damn. I'm
They
sorry.
actually seen
Get
the
emotional.
ambulance
Day.
taking Pac to the hospital or picking Pac up to take him to the hospital.
Yeah. And
Damn.
they partying in the casino, like whatever.
Yeah. Piece of shit.
The following day, Davis Brown returned to the Cadillac to ensure no casings were present. Can we just pause for a second, have a moment of silence for Tupac, man? Damn. All right. Davis, his wife Paula Clemens, Orlando Anderson, and Anderson's girlfriend returned to Los Angeles, California in the Buick Century. During the mornings after, Davis received a telephone call from Martin. Martin requested Davis meet him at a restaurant in Los Angeles. Davis recalls the restaurant being a hot wing place at Melrose Boulevard and La Brea Avenue.
I don't know no hot wing place at that spot, but
LA Hot Wings.
it was called LA Hot Wings.
Yeah, it's really on Melrose, but it's off La Brea.
Okay.
While at the restaurant, Martin told Davis that Combs had called Martin and asked, "Was that us?" Martin said he also received a phone call from Faith Evans about the shooting. Evans is known to investigators to have been the wife of Christopher Wallace at the time. Davis asked Martin when he would receive compensation for the shooting. Martin told Davis he would get the money when he returned to New York. Additionally, while at the restaurant, Combs called Martin again. Martin then handed the phone to Davis. Combs again inquired, "Was that us?" Davis recalled Combs sounded elated about the situation. Davis recalled holding a gang meeting and disclosing to members of his gang what had happened in Las Vegas. The meeting took place in
Cerritos.
at a regional park in Bellflower Boulevard. Davis continued to make efforts to collect the hit money from Martin. Eventually, Davis arranged to meet with Martin at the Roxbury Club on Sunset Boulevard. Darius Rogers and Fleetwood were also at the location with Martin. Martin and Davis spoke privately. Martin explained that Combs had not yet given him the money to give to Davis. This meeting took place approximately a month after Shakur's murder. Eventually, Davis was arrested pursuant to an unrelated narcotics investigation and went to prison. Since Davis's release from prison, he had no contact with Martin or Combs. During the summer of 2008, Davis encountered Darius Rogers in San Fernando Valley.
Wait. Valley. Valley. Go ahead.
At a 76 gas station off Topanga Boulevard. Davis advised Rogers that he needed to get in touch with Combs. Rogers informed Davis that Combs had given the contract money to Martin. However, Martin kept the money. According to Rogers, Combs and Martin had a falling out over the matter. Davis also recalled hearing that Martin had kept the money from another New York drug dealer named Gary Kane. This conversation occurred sometime in 2005 while Kane and Davis were together at Kevin Davis's house in Corona, California.
Indexing, report of investigation, list all of the suspects and names, and then just people who were probably questioned during the investigation with the indexing, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, that's it. So we're gonna get into the comments. I mean, first and foremost, the main point that sticks out to me is Inga being there with Zip Martin when he's allegedly to have passed Keefe D this gun, whether she witnessed that or not, right? Did Diddy pay her off ahead of time to cover his tracks because he knew that she knew? You know what I'm saying? I wonder if Diddy the one that beat her and made her lose her hearing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling what's going on, but I think that's a key piece of evidence that's going to be able to come out, because if she is corroborate, or if she could corroborate that part of the story, then we know for a fact that that was the Cadillac that did that. That was the Cadillac that Bunch Real and them allegedly chased down and shot back at after they skit Suge and unalive Tupac, right? And that kind of means that what Keefe D said was the truth. Now, what I'm afraid of now is that they done gave him they done gave this informant. Keefe D's a piece of shit. He unalive, I believe. He unalive has something to do with unaliving Tupac Shakur. Might have even called the shot. So really, I really think he needs to get everything he got coming in prison, because you talk about someone who was the voice of young black males. Most people go so crazy about Pop males because they empathize with how he described and articulated the struggle of their generation. And females just loved him because he came with a lot of different reasons. He was a pop star, successful, a superstar at that, right?
Let me stop you there, because I was not one of those females. I could tell you, I can name some of his songs. I could sing some of them word for word, verbatim. The Pac that I was infatuated with was when he sat down in them interviews and he spoke.
Well, that's what I was going to say next. But that's exactly what girls have always told me. Because I was thinking, like, they always talk about Pac was a sex symbol. And several females who I talked to, my sisters, my cousins, each one of them were talking about, no, it wasn't just the visual. It was exactly what you just said, Henny. That's what they found attractive.
He had a beautiful mind.
Right.
Very powerful voice. He had the power to change, to really, he could rile us up and he could calm us down. He could get us to think and he could get us to be ignorant, all at the same time. He had a lot of power.
No, that's a fact. Rest in peace to the late, great Tupac Shakur, Tupac Amuro Shakur, Machiavelli the Don. You know what I'm saying? That's my 1A, 1B as far as hip hop rappers. Him and Ice Cube is 1A, 1B. You can pick whichever one. But back to Keefe D, what I was saying that I'm afraid is going to happen is that what we read earlier before you joined us, Henny, was the motion to dismiss. And those were the exhibits in support of the motion to dismiss. This morning, I verified that these exhibits and this stuff was a part of the motion to dismiss. I woke Keefe D lawyer ass up early this morning, right? And he wasn't too happy about it. It's his Sunday. Somebody calling him about work. But he told me, yeah, it was 4 exhibits, and I wanted to just make sure I verified some of that stuff. And he told me where I would be able to get the case and all of this stuff. I wanted to verify the authenticity of what we got before we brought it on. You know what I'm saying? But in that motion to dismiss, there were key legal questions that needs to be answered by the judge. And then even when the judge answer it, it will be appealed to the Nevada Court of Appeals and even probably to the Nevada Supreme Court if necessary, because these are some real legal issues that happen. Whether or not he will be able to get a fair trial in the state of Nevada, considering that a lot of the evidence has already been tainted. They already muddied the waters of the investigation by publicizing certain facts of the case, some of which never came back true. Specifically, LAPD officer Brennan, I think they called him Blondie or Goldie or something like that, right? And y'all learn more about him as we do the Hip Hop Police documentary. Henny, I'm sure you're already ready with your focus on that. But we're going to also introduce you to the character and of some of these police officers that were involved into these investigations. The investigation on the death of Tupac Shakur, the investigation on the death of Biggie Smalls, the investigation in this Lil Durk case. Some of these people that are connected to these investigations, because they make a lot of declarations which will be used in court. And if these cops are making declarations and we're hearing Compton Police Department were dirty, I know how LAPD officers were dirty. At that, Viola Wallace had a $400 million lawsuit. So there's a lot of interest for the LAPD to make sure that it goes a certain way and that being their way, right? The city of LA and the LAPD. So Brennan says that he found, was it Brennan? Said that he found, let me check my notes, right? Yeah, it was Brennan said that he found a gun, that a 40 Glock that was matched the ballistics in Compton, in somebody's backyard, that matched the ballistics for the bullets that unalived Tupac Shakur, right? Once Las Vegas gets the gun, now mind you, this is on LA Times, Herald Examiner, all of the different news media outlets is reporting that this is a fact, right? So you might catch the news today, then a week or two later, you believing this is a fact, and you miss the news because it's not as big of a story. The Las Vegas police have said that that wasn't the weapon. The ballistics didn't match. These are the type of facts and things that were pushed in the press, which really contaminated the investigation into the murder of Tupac Shakur. That's a real legal question that the court is about to have to answer, the judge. And even after that judge answers and makes her ruling, it will be appealed to the appellate court, and then it will be appealed to the Nevada Supreme Court, and then to the circuit, if necessary, and all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, because these is real legal questions. The fact that majority of the people whose names were involved, right? In this case, a lot of them are no longer alive. You had the detective, the one detective that said that he feared for his life. He's gone now, right? But his theory and what he said kind of goes with in the benefit of Keefe D. Also, Detective Poole, who wrote the book The Labyrinth, right? Who was the initial investigator and detective on that case, right? And his theory, that brings a shadow of doubt. And there's so many other conspiracy theories out there. You know what I'm saying? Some people who even believe Tupac never really passed away. He's hiding in Cuba, right? He really has an action at getting out. And really, I think I wouldn't wish jail on my worst enemy, but I definitely think something bad should happen to Keefe D. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying my personal belief, right? We just went over paperwork, and it's only 36 pages. And in the life of 46 years on this planet, I have never Sammy the Bull. I think he outdid Sammy the Bull.
Facts.
Keefe D just became the biggest rat, and they've been exposed as the biggest rat in LA, California history.
He's a
period
rat.
Yeah.
He done sold from state to state and country to country. Like Mexico, Guatemala, like that, those are out the country. So you just snitching on a whole enterprise and network of people. He's definitely worse than Sammy the Bull.
Yeah, definitely worse than Sammy the Bull. I remember, and me and Reggie Wright differ on this a lot, right? Reggie Wright was so adamant, Reggie Wright Jr. was so adamant on his show about wanting to see Keefe D in jail. And I disagree with him because, Reggie, you straddle the fence so much. You were a cop. From a cop, you got caught selling weed. You set up the mayor. You do a whole lot of other stuff, right? And I get it, right? This piece of shit also threw you under the bus, try to implicate you in murders. I don't know how it wasn't in this document that Keefe D wore a wire on Von Zip. The feds allowed him to go meet with Von Zip trying to set up a drug deal wearing a wire. This dude definitely is the worst of the rats. So I'm not going to expect ex-police officer to see eye to eye with me. I definitely am anti-governmental, anti-authoritative, so we naturally gonna see it. But for someone that sees it from that vision, now I see why he has so much hate for and dislike and distaste for Keefe D. Davis, right? This dude is the scum of the earth. Told on his friends, told on his associates, right? And he proclaimed all the while proclaiming to be a G from his hood, to be one of the voices and or shot callers from his hood as a gangster, right? Perpetrating a fraud. You know what I'm saying? All along he was gathering intel, knowing that the day he get caught, he got a get out of jail free card. He got information to provide that could help him save his ass. Yeah, man. Yeah, you want to say something, bro? Damn, we've been going for 2 hours, 45 minutes. Hit that like button. Show some support. Wake this shit up. Salute to everybody that's still with us, man. Let's go.
Man, listen, y'all done sat through 2.5, almost 3 hours of content. We got the content. But most importantly, you've been edified. And the thing about that is this. The paperwork just showed right now being edified with Henny and my brother Deuce Sims. You guys heard it yourself. This dude that came and talked to the police 3 times in proffers. That's secretly giving information, recorded, giving up his close associates, his close peers, and the unaliving of individuals. It's already been expounded. And if you guys need more, we have more. Do Sims just told you what, 37 pages?
Yeah,
37 pages
35,
of this
like
man ratting.
That is Sam. You know, I think
37, 37, 36, 35. It doesn't even matter, guys. It's just a lot of telling in the paperwork. And the fact that we had an individual like CS2 back trying to get this scum out of jail, it just goes to show you, man, birds of a feather, they flocking together, man. And they listening and they watching and they're hating. They hate the fact that you have Damus and Kiwes and individuals in all ways trying to come and unite together just to stand on truth and righteousness and edify you guys, because a lot of you people are looking up to people who done did foul in the dark. And then when it comes to the light like this, it become nasty work as you see the paperwork right before your eyes, man. And we've been long-winded tonight with Deuce Sims giving his edification, and then Henny double backing and coming in and giving her edification on it, giving us the great elaborates of reading this paperwork so you guys can be edified and know what you're getting yourselves into now. But all in all, making sure you guys, anybody come into your life being extra, flattering with words, always trying to do something, make sure you investigate the people that's coming around you, man, because you don't want to get caught up in no cases or no kind of situations or no situations to where you dealing with a rat and you didn't know. Make sure you do your due diligence, man, so you can be in the light of it. So when it does come to the light like this, you won't be edified in it. Salute to everybody on Clubhouse that stayed in the clubhouse with us. Salute to everybody in the Goose. Salute to you. Salute to everybody on stage. Demise that was on their job. Salute to the chat. Y'all already know that's where it's at. The Blue Wrench mob that was always on their job, man. And our very loyal supporters from the people that came in, the new ones. Like, comment, subscribe. You've been edified with Deuce Sims to die. Henny, that girl Henny. And myself, Yael, the Kiwe pop star. Damu Kiwe Conversations.
Michael Melvin says, so Keefe D is admitting to being an accessory. Yeah, because they gave him immunity. But then you hear Greg Kading say that he didn't give him immunity. But then you hear him say, yeah, and we got the clips. That's one of the reasons he filed a motion to dismiss.
Because he was double-tongued. He was double-tongued talking.
Yeah. But no, he was double-tongued talking, but I'm talking about from a legal standpoint, right?
Correct.
He definitely is admitting to being an accessory to murder, right? He's implicating other people's in this murder also, right? So that in itself, besides giving up 7-8 different drug connects and hustlers and legendary hustlers and all of this other information and dirty police, and this dude cooperation is astronomical. I'm telling you, this is the biggest rat in the history of America I've ever heard of. If there's one even more, I ain't heard of them yet. You know what I'm saying? Keefe D just took the cake. You know what I'm saying? But from a legal standpoint, what I'm saying, Yael, is when you cooperate and they give you immunity, means that because of your cooperation, you cannot be charged for none of the crimes that you tell them about, right? Greg Kading and Darren Dupree allowed that to happen, right? But even before that, the police that interviewed them in 1997, whenever, 1998, 90, whatever, in the 90s, when they first, the same thing, they gave them a proffer agreement and immunity. I got video clips where Greg, and I'm going to show that on the hip hop police thing, where Greg Kading, who's on this case, also said Keefe D has an immunity deal. Then he says Keefe D doesn't have an immunity deal. But then these same people that's promising that they're not going to utilize this against him so that he could get charged, make sure that and encourage Las Vegas police to charge him. So now you think about that. Y'all think that these rats, these police give a fuck about you rats? You get exposed in the end anyway. They throw you to the wolves after they use you. They don't respect it. They tell each other not to rat on each other. But look, man, Henny, before you take us out, we definitely finna give a couple minutes to Pop. I don't even care about no money for this one. I edit this out after. We gonna play my favorite Pac song, man. I just think that it's necessary, man. And I hope y'all just vibe with us. And then Henny, after the song is done, we'll let Henny take us out. And we'll be on Clubhouse. White man, hold on. Let me share this with y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? My favorite Pac song. Just meditate on it. Feel the vibe. Hey, man, rest in peace to Tupac, the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? The sad thing, we got a super chat, but before we get to the super chat, they had let Tupac Shakur out. A shout out to my brother Papa LQ Laquan. I'm a little choked up, still get that same feeling from Pop. But we were supposed to interview Matula when they let him out. You know what I'm saying? Big U and Quan thought it was important, understanding his health and situation, to link him with me because of the spirit that's within me. If you know me at all, I'm a black nationalist. At core, if I'm nothing else, a black revolutionary. Might not got all the answers, but I'm trying to find my way like a lot of others. Thank y'all for supporting. But rest in peace to Matula Shakur, the interview that never happened. I'm always regret that. We're going to get into this super chat, man. Always positive. Once you snitch, that erase any and all work you put in. You ain't shit on y'all gang. A, always positive. Salute. I second that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, King. You know what I'm saying? The spiritual realm is real. Nothing people do here on planet Earth is not missed. It's doubled on them. Ace, whatever done is already done to them. Time going by, puffing on it's puffing on lie, hoping that it gets me high. Got it. Crazy. What you know about that, Henny? Gang.
Man, listen, like I said, it don't mean, it don't mean I don't know. I know. Yeah. That was a song right there. Like that one right there, stay on repeat.
Hell yeah. Well, take us out, Queen, please.
All right. Shout out to the fakes. Chop the heads off of the snakes. And y'all know, when y'all rest well. And we'll see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all for tapping in. And be sure to hit that like button on the way out, because the likes is disrespectful. But thank y'all for all the support. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Peace, y'all.
Henny gang.